What if I told you that the deepest mysteries of the universe hold a gentle invitation to live more openly, more creatively, and more fully? Imagine a world where certainty loosens its grip and possibility dances in every moment, whispering that you are not fixed but ever becoming. Tonight we'll explore that world, a realm where particles pause before deciding who they are, where the cosmos hums in probabilities instead of commands, and where the same subtle rules can guide you toward a life of fluid confidence and quiet courage. In the next few minutes, you'll discover how the language of quantum reality mirrors the language of your own heart, how embracing uncertainty can unlock the space you need to grow, and why the very act of observing your life can become a source of empowerment rather than limitation. Picture the smallest scale you can imagine, far smaller than dust, even finer than the lines on a fingerprint. In that hidden depth, you might expect tiny beads bouncing with perfect, unchanging paths, each locked into a single, immutable destiny. The truth that quantum physics reveals is softer, stranger, and far more alive. At that level, the universe does not speak in absolutes or is not. It speaks in May, in gentle clouds of possibility that drift like morning fog across a quiet field. This fog does not choose a single shape or a single direction. It spreads, trembles, and plays with light. In the same way, the most fundamental pieces of reality remain undecided until a question and interaction asks them to show themselves. For centuries, scientists tried to pin down particles as if they were tiny, solid marbles moving along fixed tracks. Then experiments showed that such certainty was an illusion. Instead of saying a particle is here moving there, they had to adopt a subtler language. The particle might be here, there, or somewhere in between. Not because the particle is hiding, but because existence itself at the deepest level is a shimmering field of May. Certainty becomes only a brief visitor, while possibility settles in as the permanent host. Think of standing on a beach at dawn. The waves have not yet decided how strong they will be. The tide is still contemplating its rise, and the sky is choosing the colors it will wear before the sun lifts. In that quiet hour, everything feels open. Nothing has locked itself into place. The quantum world mirrors that moment stretched across the entire fabric of reality. Possibilities come first, decisions follow later. This notion once made people uncomfortable because we, as humans, love certainty, love to label a truth, place it on a shelf, and keep it dust-free. Yet nature does not care about tidy shelves. When you zoom in far enough, what appears as solid and crisp becomes slippery, hesitant, and alive with endless options. The closer you look, the more the universe wiggles between answers, not out of chaos, but out of a soft humility that says, let me keep some things open for a little while. That openness is not a flaw, it is the engine of flexibility that allows atoms to bind into the shapes that become your body, lets the sun shine by permitting particles to take improbable paths that ignite fusion, and makes chemistry possible. Without this shimmering uncertainty, the universe would be rigid, brittle, perhaps even lifeless. The lesson here reaches beyond physics into the human heart. When we hold a belief too tightly, it stops breathing. When we insist on knowing exactly who we are, we may unknowingly close the door on who we could become. Memories, when revisited again and again in search of perfect clarity, shift under our hands, reshaping themselves with each inspection. In both physics and life, the more rigidly we try to define something, the more it slips into something else. You can think of yourself at any moment as a kind of wave of possibility, not fixed, not finished, but unfolding a constellation of potentials, some bright, some faint, all waiting for the right question or context to take form. The roles you play, friend, child, dreamer, wanderer, are not permanent identities, but potential states that become active when circumstances invite them, shimmering with the same softness that the quantum world has carried since the dawn of time. So when we say the universe is made of May, it is not merely a scientific observation, it is a gentle truth about existence itself. The smallest things do not hurry to declare themselves. They wait, they drift, they leave room. And because of that room, stars can ignite, atoms can form, and life can choose its shape moment by moment. If you let this idea settle beside you, it brings a kind of calm. You do not need to know everything all at once. The universe itself does not. Possibility is not a flaw, it is the quiet engine that keeps everything alive. As we begin this journey together, We start not with certainty but with softness, trusting that the shimmering may beneath all things is not a threat to understanding but an invitation to explore. When you feel ready, let the next insight arrive in its own time, just as dawn slowly brightens a waiting sky. Consider holding water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes through your fingers. Knowledge, especially at the quantum level, behaves with a similar shyness. The more precisely you try to grasp one piece of truth, the more another slips away. This idea is often captured by Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. But we can think of it without the technical jargon. Every answer arrives with a shadow, and every clarity costs another kind of clarity. At the smallest scales, particles behave more like ripples of possibility than solid dots, and certain pairs of properties refuse to sit still long enough for us to capture both at once. Position and momentum are the most well-known pair. If you try to know exactly where something is, its tendency to move becomes hazy. If you try to pin down how it moves, its location becomes uncertain. It is not a failure of our tools, nor a limitation of imagination. It is the universe's way of saying, you may observe, but you cannot own all truths at once. Imagine a firefly drifting through a dark garden. If you watch gently, letting your eyes relax, you see its soft movement as a glowing trailer sense of direction, intention, drift. If you snap your attention sharply to fix its exact spot, the trail disappears. You know where it is, but not where it's going. Look again, and you lose the precise sense of where it just was. The firefly hasn't changed, only your way of looking has. The quantum world is full of such firefly slickering, drifting, making choices only as you begin to ask them questions. For a long time, people believed uncertainty was a defect in our understanding, that a better microscope or a gentler probe would peel away the fog and reveal a sharp, exact universe. The more we learned, the clearer it became that uncertainty isn't a smudge on our lenses, it is woven into the fabric of existence. The haze is the truth, the fuzziness the rule, and oddly enough, it is this softness that allows the universe to breathe, to form, to exist at all. Think of a string on a musical instrument. Plucked gently, the note lingers warm and full. Pressed too tightly, the note sharpens, sometimes choking. The beauty of the sound comes from the balance, the space allowed for vibration. In the same way, particles cannot sit still and be perfectly defined. They need a little wiggle, a little freedom, a little space to move. If their properties were fixed with absolute precision, the universe would collapse into a rigid, frozen grid with no room for creativity, no room for the delicate dance that gives rise to atoms, chemistry, warmth, and life. Heisenberg's insight offers more than physics, it offers a lesson that feels like a soft hand placed on your shoulder. When we try too hard to define every part of ourselves, our identity, our goals, our purpose, you often lose the gentle possibilities that lie just beyond the edges of certainty. We say, I am this, and suddenly all the other things we could become fall away. We cling to a memory, repeating it endlessly, trying to lock it into one unchanging shape. The more we examine it, the more it shifts, revealing edges we never saw before. Just as particles cannot hold still under scrutiny, the stories we tell about ourselves tremble under too much pressure. That doesn't mean we shouldn't seek clarity, it simply means that clarity comes with a cost, and sometimes the cost is worth paying. But the quantum world invites us to consider when it might be kinder to let certain truths remain open, when it might be gentler to hold our identities like loosely cupped hands instead of clenched fists. Certainty has weight, possibility has space, and both have their place. There is another poetic side to this principle. The very act of trying to know something precisely requires energy, a nudge, a disturbancy whisper of interaction. To pin down a particle's position, you must send something toward it, a photon of light, a touch of energy, a tiny ripple. That touch changes the particle. Measurement is not passive, it is a meeting, a contact, a moment of influence. To see something is to change it. To understand something is to participate in its story. This blurs the line between observer and observed. You cannot measure without touching. You cannot touch without altering. You cannot know without becoming part of the knowing. That revelation is profound for personal growth. Every time you examine yourself too sharply, you may unintentionally shift the very thing you are trying to understand. The act of self-observation can become a gentle dialogue, rather than an aggressive interrogation. When you approach your thoughts, feelings, and aspirations with the same softness you would use to watch a firefly, you allow them to reveal themselves without forcing them into a rigid box. You create a space where possibilities can breathe, where new paths can surface, and where the future can be shaped not by fear of the unknown but by curiosity about what could be. So, as you settle into this moment, consider dimming the lights of doubt, turning off the harsh fan of self-criticism, and allowing a quiet hum of possibility to fill the room of your mind. Let your phone rest beside you, not as a distraction, but as a reminder that you can be present without constant input. Allow thoughts to wander, knowing that wandering is not a loss of focus, but an invitation to discover new connections. The pace of our conversation will be gentle, welcoming both sleep and curiosity, because the same calm that cradles you at night can also cradle the seeds of transformation. Remember that the universe at its smallest scale is a field of May, a place where potential precedes certainty. You, too, exist as a field of potential. Each moment is an invitation to choose, to realign, to bloom into a version of yourself you have not yet imagined. When you let go of the need to lock every aspect of your life into a fixed definition, you open the door for growth, for creativity, for the unexpected miracles that make life vibrant. Embrace the uncertainty not as a threat, but as a canvas blank, waiting for the colors of your choices. In the days ahead, you may find yourself facing decisions that feel fuzzy, opportunities that seem vague, or emotions that resist categorization. Instead of pulling them into tight, uncomfortable boxes, breathe into them. Acknowledge their presence, feel their texture, and trust that the universe's inherent softness will guide you toward the shape they need to take. When you feel the urge to force a conclusion, pause and ask yourself, what if I allow this to remain open a little longer? What might emerge if I give it space to breathe? Often the answer is not a single path, but a horizon of possibilities, each inviting a different version of you. This approach does not reject clarity, it reframes it. Clarity becomes a moment of alignment after a period of gentle exploration, not a forced endpoint. Like a sunrise that gradually paints the sky, understanding unfolds in soft layers. It is okay to sit with the fog for a while, to enjoy the mystery, and to let curiosity lead the way. In doing so, you align yourself with the same principle that lets particles leap into existence, that lets stars ignite, that lets life choose its shape moment by moment. As you carry this insight forward, notice how the small acts of everyday life echo the quantum dance. The way a conversation shifts when you listen more than you speak. The way a relationship grows when you give space, rather than trying to control every outcome. The way a creative project blossoms when you allow ideas to wander before fixing them. Each of these moments is a micro-reflection of the larger cosmic truth. The universe thrives on the balance between potential and actualization, between gentle observation and responsive action. So the next time you feel uncertainty rising inside you, greet it with the same reverence you would reserve for a night sky full of stars. Recognize that this uncertainty is not a void to be filled, but a field to be explored. Trust that within it lie the seeds of your next breakthrough, your next act of kindness, your next bold step toward the life you truly desire. Let the softness of May become the foundation upon which you build resilience, creativity, and a deep, abiding sense of wonder. In this shared space of possibility, we are all travelers on a journey that does not demand that we know every destination in advance. The path unfurls as we walk, guided by curiosity, illuminated by moments of insight, and enriched by the ever-present chance to become something new. Embrace the dance, breathe with the rhythm of the universe, and let each breath remind you that you, too, are a beautiful, evolving wave of potential, always ready to shape the world in ways you have not yet imagined. Imagine for a moment that the very fabric of reality is a gentle mist, a soft haze that never fully solidifies, that allows the world to breathe, to sing, to move. Picture a string on a violin, humming with life when you let it vibrate freely, and notice how the note loses its warmth the tighter you press your finger against it. The music that fills the room is not the product of a rigid clamp, but of the space you grant the vibration to expand, to wiggle, to explore its own possibilities. In the same way, the tiny particles that make up everything we see cannot be pinned down with absolute certainty. They need room to dance, to shimmer, to flirt with the unknown. If every atom were forced into a perfect, unchanging grid, the universe would become a cold, static tableau, devoid of the creative spark that gives rise to chemistry, to warmth, to the breath that fills our lungs. This idea, first uncovered by a physicist named Heisenberg, is more than a scientific insight. It is a gentle whisper on the shoulder of anyone who has ever tried to hold themselves in a single, unchanging shape. When we stare too hard at the outline of who we think we are, our job title, our past mistakes, the role we believe we must play, we often squash the soft possibilities that linger just beyond the edges of certainty. We say, "I am this," and in that proclamation, we push away the many other ways we could become. The stories we tell ourselves about our identity, our goals, our purpose begin to tremble under the pressure of our own expectations, just as a particle's position blurs when we try to measure it too precisely. That trembling does not mean we should abandon understanding. It simply reminds us that clarity comes with a price, and sometimes the most compassionate choice is to leave certain truths gently open. Think of the act of truly seeing something. To see a particle's location, you must send a photon, a ripple of light, toward it. That tiny touch changes the particle. Observation is never passive, it is an exchange, a moment of influence that intertwines the observer with the observed. Every time you try to grasp another person's inner world, you inevitably alter the way they present themselves. Every memory you revisit shifts a little, reshaped by the new light of your present mind. In the dance of understanding, we leave an imprint on the world, and the world leaves its subtle marks on us. This mutual transformation is a reminder that we are not isolated islands of certainty, we are participants in a far wider story, constantly co-creating the reality we inhabit. Uncertainty is not a crack in the glass of existence, it is the gentle curve of a bowl that holds water, shaping the space where possibilities can gather and flow. Without that subtle freedom, electrons would collapse into the heart of atoms, chemistry would vanish, and the rich tapestry of life, weather, oceans, fire, love would never emerge. The universe does not need rigid, frozen blocks to build its grandeur. It thrives on a softer, quieter order that lets patterns evolve, breathe, and interlace. When you listen to the night, you need not catalogue every scientific term. You simply feel the quiet assurance that the cosmos accommodates imperfections, unanswered questions, and the occasional mystery. Within that openness, life finds room to move, to grow, to surprise. If we let this thought settle for a heartbeat, we begin to sense a humble invitation. The universe did not begin with absolute answers, it began with open possibilities. That same soft beginning offers us a quiet reminder that we too can live without having every answer nailed down, trusting that beauty can still arise from the maybes that surround us. Even though the quantum realm seems like a wobbly tabletony pieces drifting, identities soft at the edge as the world we wake up to each morning feels remarkably reliable. Your coffee cup stays where you set it, the floor holds your steps, the chair cradles your weight. This steadiness emerges from a process physicists call decoherence, a word that sounds formidable but carries a gentle meaning. Decoherence is simply the way the fuzzy clouds of quantum possibilities dissolve into the clearer shapes of everyday experience, much like mist lifts to reveal the outlines of trees at sunrise. Picture a pond just after dawn. The surface is a glassy mirror, reflecting soft pinks and sleepy blues. A single breeze brushes the water, a bird's wing dips, a leaf skims across, and the perfect reflection shatters into ripples. The stillness gives way to motion, and the picture dissolves into a living, breathing tableau. Decoherence works the same way, countless tiny interaction particles brushing against one another, light dancing on surfaces, heat humming through the air send gentle whispers that coax the haze of probabilities into a single, familiar outcome. At the atomic level, particles exist as clouds of potential, but the moment they interact, even faintly, that cloud settles into something with shape and direction. It is not a grand decision made by the particle alone, nor a force imposing order. It is the chorus of subtle nudges saying, settle, become, be known. This collective settling stitches the loose threads of possibility into the sturdy fabric of the world we touch. Without decoherence, matter would never hold its form. Tables would not stay tables. Stones would not stay stones. Breakfast would dissolve into clouds of probability. before reaching your plate. The process allows the universe to write its story in ink rather than pencil, giving permanence to the experiences we rely on. There is poetry in this transition. The smallest whispers grant each particle a choice. Larger ensembles invite them into a communal rhythm that feels like solidity, reliability, calm. Imagine a room full of people humming different notes at random. At first, the sound is soft, scattered, indistinct. As more individuals begin to synchronize, perhaps without even intending to, the room fills with a single, warm, tonier collective vibration. Coherence is that spontaneous unison where individual quantum notes blend into a stable, harmonious sound. No equations are needed here, only the recognition that many possibilities interacting can smooth themselves into something cohesive. With enough interaction, the quantum strangeness fades to the background, not vanishing but quieting like a dream whose details fade as morning brightens. This notion mirrors our own lives. At the smallest scale, our thoughts, choices, and identities shimmer with countless potentials. As we move through the world, meeting people, making decisions, settling into roles, those fluid possibilities begin to cohere into recognizable patterns. We become ourselves through interaction, just as particles settle into classical behavior through their environment. Decoherence does not erase the underlying quantum truth. The possibilities remain, humming beneath the surface. Likewise, your deeper potentials never truly disappear, they settle into a hidden structure that supports the person you appear to be. The version of you that stands here now is one unfolding of many possible selves, shaped by countless tiny interactions, conversations, memories, kindnesses, disappointments, whispered hopes, and quiet dreams. Each influence is like a faint ripple on the pond, softening the fog and giving shape to your story. Decoherence also reminds us that we do not exist in isolation. A particle collapses into a specific state not by its own will alone, but through contact with the world around it. We, too, become real to ourselves through others. The smile that meets us when we enter a room, the warmth of a shared moment, the gentle recognition of being truly seen. Identity is not carved out alone, it emerges from the constant interplay between who we are and the world that touches us. The solidness we feel in daily life is less a permanent truth than a beautifully maintained illusion, a tapestry woven by endless collaboration. Nature creates this illusion so we can walk through it without fear of falling apart. Yet behind that steadiness lies a quiet truth. Everything still shimmers underneath, woven from probability and possibility, held together by delicate threads of interaction too small for us to notice. If you let this idea rest within you for a moment, a quiet reassurance settles in. The solid world beneath your feet may be built from uncertainties, but those uncertainties know how to work together. They create harmony, not chaos form, not confusion. In that harmony, we discover the gentle bridge between the unpredictable quantum realm and the comforting stability of our waking lives. As this thought unfolds, it opens a path toward understanding how our questions, perceptions, and presence shape the reality we experience, just as the environment shapes the world of quivering particles. Think of a shelf of books, each spine whispering a different story: mystery, romance, adventure, quiet reflection. Before you reach out, every tale feels equally possible, waiting for you. The moment your fingers close around a single volume, that story becomes real for you, while the others retreat into the background, still waiting, still humming with potential. At the quantum level, particles behave similarly. Their positions, spins, and paths do not sit on the shelves of reality waiting to be discovered. They do not exist as neat, labeled facts until an interaction draws one specific outcome into focus. The rest remain in a cloud of maybes, ready to reshuffle when the next gentle nudge arrives. This metaphor invites you to see your own life as a library of possibilities, each day offering a chance to choose which story to bring into focus. It also reminds you that the act of choosing does not destroy the other possibilities, it merely places them gently aside for a time, allowing you to explore the one you have selected fully, richly, with intention. And when the wind of experience blows again, when a new conversation, a fresh challenge, a quiet realization arrive, as another possibility may rise, ready to be embraced. So, dear listener, as you move through the world, remember that the universe's grand design is not a rigid machine, but a living, breathing tapestry of soft edges and open spaces. Allow yourself the grace to be a little fuzzy, a little undefined, to let your identity breathe like a string left to vibrate freely. Embrace the uncertainty that fuels creativity, the subtle shifts that invite growth, the gentle interactions that shape you into the person you are becoming. When you feel the pressure to pin yourself down, recall the violinist's hand pressed too hard, and the note loses its warmth, ease the touch, and the music sings. Feel the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are part of a larger dance, where every touch you make, every word you speak, every moment of attention you give, subtly reshapes the world around you. Just as the world reshapes you. Let that awareness fill you with humility, with gratitude, with a sense of belonging to a cosmos that balances potential and actualization with the elegance of a sunrise over a still pond. In that balance, you find the power to live fully, to welcome change, to celebrate the possibilities that flutter just beyond the edges of certainty. Take this moment to breathe in the softness of the unknown, to honor the space that allows you to grow, to recognize that every ripple you create contributes to the beautiful, ever-evolving pattern of life. Let the hum of possibilities be your background music, and let your actions be the gentle notes you choose to play, knowing that even the quietest vibration adds richness to the symphony of existence. The universe thrives on this balance, and so do you. Imagine, for a moment, that the very fabric of reality is a vast, shimmering sea of possibilities, each wave of potential humming just beneath the surface of what you see and feel. Just as particles in the quantum world settle into familiar patterns when they encounter their surroundings, you too find your shape through the countless whispers of the world around you. Decoherency, the gentle process that nudges a quantum particle toward a particular state doesn't erase the truth of its quantum nature. It simply folds the endless array of possibilities into the form we can grasp. In the same way, the boundless talent, curiosity, and hope that reside inside you never truly disappear. They quiet themselves, weaving into the hidden scaffolding that supports the person you appear as today. The version of yourself that stands before the mirror right now is one beautiful unfolding among an infinite tapestry of selves, each crafted by tiny interactions, a smile exchanged with a stranger, a kind word spoken in passing, a disappointment that stung just enough to teach you resilience, a hope you whispered to the night sky, a dream you kept tucked safely in the corners of your heart. Every influence is like a delicate ripple on a pond, scattering the mist and giving shape to the story you are living. These ripples never vanish, they settle into the subtle contours that define who you are, reminding you that you are part of a grand, collaborative dance. Think of a particle that collapses into a specific state not because it decides on its own, but because it touches the world around it. You, too, become truly yourself in the presence of others. A warm smile when you walk into a room, the shared laughter over a simple joke, the quiet acknowledgement that someone sees you are brought into fuller existence by these moments of connection. Identity, then, is not a solitary sculpture carved in isolation. It is an ever-evolving masterpiece painted with the colors of every encounter, every conversation, every breath of air that brushes past you. The solidity you feel in daily life is less a permanent, unchangeable truth, and more a beautifully maintained illusion, an illusion crafted by endless collaboration among countless unseen forces. Nature's steadiness allows you to walk forward without feeling you might fall apart. Yet underneath that steadiness lies a subtle, radiant truth. Everything around you still shimmers with probability, still weaves together from tiny threads of interaction too fine for the eye to catch. Let that idea settle in your mind for a quiet moment, and you will sense a gentle reassurance. The ground beneath your feet may be built from uncertainties, but those uncertainties know how to work together in harmony. They do not descend into chaos, they form graceful patterns, elegant structures, a delicate bridge between the unpredictable quantum realm and the comforting stability of your waking life. When you pause and reflect on this bridge, you begin to see how your questions, your perceptions, and your very presence shape the reality you experience. Just as the environment coaxes a particle into a particular state, the world you inhabit coaxes you into becoming the person you are meant to be. Have you ever stood before a bookshelf and felt, for a heartbeat, that every story was waiting for you? In that fleeting instant, you are touching a gentle shadow of the quantum world. Before you reach for a spine, before you slide a volume off the shelf, every possible tale feels equally available: a mystery, romance, adventure, quiet reflection. You could step into any one of them. The moment your hand closes around a single book, one story becomes concrete, while the others slip back into the background, quietly waiting for another turn. At the quantum level, a similar dance occurs. The properties of particles where they are, how they spin, what path they will take, do not sit on the shelves of reality, neatly labeled and ready for discovery. They begin as overlapping possibilities, shimmering outlines of what could be. Only when a question is asked, only when a measurement is made, does a single answer step forward and solidify. This is the heart of what physicists call the measurement problem, but stripped of jargon, it asks a profoundly poetic question: when does a possibility become a fact? What nudges a particle from a cloud of potential outcomes into one specific result? And why does the universe seem to wait until we ask before revealing its truth? Imagine walking into a room lit only by the soft glow of moonlight. In that dim light, shapes merge. A chair becomes a heap of shadows. A coat on a hook looks like a person standing still. A dress blends into the wall. Nothing is sharp or definite. Then you flip on a lamp. The scene reorganizes itself. The chair becomes a chair again. The coat becomes a coat. Your act of illuminating the room doesn't merely reveal the objects, it stabilizes them. Quantum measurement feels much like switching on that light. Before you observe a particle, it doesn't occupy one precise position or one precise state. It spreads across a landscape of possibilities, like brushstrokes on a canvas. The moment you look, the moment you bring your attention and interaction to it, the canvas pulls itself into a single line, sharper and more specific than anything that existed before. What makes this idea especially strange is that particles do not carry hidden instructions about which answer they should give. There is nothing inside them that says, if asked about spin in this direction, answer up; if asked another way, answer sideways. Instead, the universe waits for the question and fashions the answer in that instant. The response depends not only on the particle itself, but also on the context of the question, the direction, the method, the kind of measurement. It is as if reality speaks different truths depending on the language you choose to ask in. This isn't a metaphor, it's a pattern woven into experiments again and again. When scientists measure one property, they get one answer. When they measure another, even a moment later, the particle behaves as if it had no memory of the first result, responding anew, shaped by the nature of the new question. The universe, in its smallest details, behaves like a storyteller who tailors the tale to the listener, crafting the narrative moment by moment rather than reciting from a fixed script. This realization offers a deeply unsettling, yet beautiful insight. The world is not simply revealed through observation, it is, in some sense, created through it. Imagine asking someone, "Who are you?" The question feels vast, perhaps too vague. Then you ask again with more detail, "Who are you when you're with your closest friends? Who are you when you're alone at night? Who are you when a song breaks your heart?" Each question draws out a different truth, not because the person has a single hidden essence, but because identity is a constellation of possibilities. Context draws out the stars that respond. Similarly, a particle has no single set of properties waiting to be uncovered. It is a constellation of potential states, and the question you ask determines which star lights up. It can feel uncomfortable at first. We like to imagine the universe as a warehouse of facts, every object neatly labeled and ready to be found. But the quantum world whispers something softer. Reality is participatory. You don't stand outside it, observing from a safe distance. You are woven into its unfolding. Your questions matter, not only for understanding, but for the very shape the answer takes. If you let this sink in, there is something profoundly human here. We often picture ourselves as detached observers of our own lives, searching for truth as if it were hidden behind a door or beneath a stone. Yet perhaps the truth of our experience is also formed by the questions we ask. When you look for kindness, you begin to notice it. When you search for meaning, small moments reveal significance. When you pose harsh questions, "What is wrong with me?" or "Why am I not enough?" the answers shape themselves around the tone of the inquiry. Reality, both personal and physical, bends toward the questions that guide your attention. This does not mean you create the universe with your thoughts, nor that life is a fragile dream you can rearrange at will. It means your role is more intimate than you once believed. You are not merely a witness, you are a participant, a co-author, a character who helps shape the story by the questions you choose to ask, the attention you bring to a moment, the curiosity you dare to follow. Picture the universe as a grand, shimmering landscape of potential. Measurement, the act of observing, becomes a quiet way of stepping into that landscape and leaving footprints. Each footprint marks one path out of many, one reality chosen from an entire field of possibilities. Though you cannot see the paths you didn't take, you can sense them as gentle echoes, the lingering may that surrounds every choice. As we drift deeper into this idea, we'll see how other layers of the universe fields, vacuums, time itself continue this pattern of shared authorship. But before we reach those horizons, let's rest with this simple, delicate truth: reality is not a fixed story waiting to be read. It is a living narrative shaped by interaction, sculpted by questions, illuminated one moment at a time by the soft light of attention. There are moments in science that feel less like discoveries and more like someone gently lifting a curtain to reveal a secret the universe has kept for ages. The double-slit experiment is one of those moments. It requires no massive observatory, no towering particle accelerator, just a source of tiny particles, two narrow openings and a screen. Yet in this humble arrangement, the universe whispers something that can upend everything we thought we knew about matter observation and the quiet conversation between possibility and fact. Picture a still pond on a tranquil evening. You toss two pebbles into the water, one after the other. Each pebble creates a set of ripples that spread outward, meeting and weaving together. Where the ripples align, the water rises into brighter peaks where they cancel. The surface smooths into calm troves. This graceful dance is called interference, the signature of waves interacting. Now imagine something very different, tossing tiny marbles through two windows in a wall. The marbles don't ripple or weave, they choose one window or the other, landing in simple, predictable patterns, no interference, no mystery. For centuries, that was how we imagined particles behaved, like little marbles, solid, definite, choosing one path, not two. Then physicists sent electrons, those minute pieces of matter, toward two slits. Instead of forming two simple piles behind the slits, the electrons created an interference pattern, exactly the kind you'd see from overlapping waves on a pond. It was as if each electron passed through both slits at once, rippling like water, exploring two possibilities simultaneously, touching both paths before deciding where to land. Even when electrons were sent one at a time, so slowly that no two could possibly interfere with each other, the pattern still emerged. Each electron behaved like a solitary wave, folding and unfolding through both slits, interfering with itself. The result was not a random scatter of dots, but a quiet, orderly pattern of peaks and gaps, as if the universe was sketching a hidden rhythm onto the screen. Then came the strangest part. When scientists placed a detector at the slits to discover which path an electron took, the interference vanished. The soft wave-like behavior dissolved. The electrons no longer drew delicate patterns, they behaved like marbles again, choosing one slit or the other, leaving behind two simple clusters. The act of watching, even gently and without touching, changed the outcome entirely. Without observation, electrons wandered through both slits, as if sampling the entire landscape of possibility. With observation, they committed to a single concrete path. This experiment mirrors the way your life unfolds. When you approach a decision with an open heart, allowing possibilities to breathe, you often find that the universe responds with richness, with patterns you couldn't have predicted. When you force the moment, when you stare too rigidly at a single outcome, you may silence the subtle harmonies that could have emerged. The lesson isn't to avoid paying attention, quite the opposite. It's to recognize that attention, curiosity, and gentle inquiry are the lights that shape the shadows into form. So, dear one, as you walk your path, remember that you are both the observer and the creator of your reality. Every question you ask, every moment you choose to notice, every gentle curiosity you nurture, is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. The possibilities that hum beneath the surface never disappear, they merely wait for the right touch, the right question, the right moment of awareness. Embrace the fact that you are part of a vast, collaborative dance where particles and people alike find their shape through interaction. Let this understanding settle into your heart like a warm, steady drumbeat. When doubt whispers that you are fixed, rigid, or limited, recall the quantum world's lesson: uncertainty is not a flaw, it is the fertile soil from which stability grows. Your strengths, your dreams, your kindness, these are not isolated islands, but ripples that have been coaxed into form by countless others. The solidity you feel in the morning, the confidence that steadies your steps, is a beautiful illusion crafted by the universe's endless collaboration, and that illusion is exactly what allows you to move forward with grace. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore how even deeper layers of reality fields that pervade space, the vacuum that hums with restless energy, time itself, play their part in this shared authorship. But for now, hold close this simple truth: reality isn't a static story waiting to be read, it is a living, breathing narrative shaped by the questions you dare to ask, the attention you give, and the love you share. Let that knowledge empower you. Let it remind you that every step you take is both a discovery and a creation. You are not merely walking through a pre-written script, you are co-authoring a masterpiece, one luminous brushstroke at a time. When we let that gentle truth settle in our minds, a new sense of possibility begins to bloom. Reality is not a static story waiting for us to turn the pages. It is a living, breathing narrative that responds to the way we engage with it, shaped moment by moment by the soft light of our attention. Imagine a scene in science that feels less like a distant discovery and more like a quiet unveiling, as if the universe has been holding a secret and is now pulling back the curtain just for you. The double-slit experiment is exactly such a moment. It does not require towering observatories or massive particle accelerators. It needs only a humble source of tiny particles, 2 narrow openings, and a screen to capture what arrives. Yet, within this simple arrangement, the universe whispers a lesson that can transform everything you thought you knew about matter: observation, and the delicate conversation between possibility and fact. Picture yourself on a still evening beside a small pond. You toss 2 pebbles into the water, one after the other. Each pebble creates a set of ripples that spread outward, meeting and weaving together. Where the ripples overlap in agreement, the water rises into brighter peaks. Where they cancel, the surface smooths into gentle troughs. This graceful dance of waves is called interference, the signature of how waves interact. Now, imagine a different picture: tossing tiny marbles through 2 windows in a wall. The marbles simply choose one window or the other, landing in predictable patterns on the ground. No ripples, no mystery, just solid, definite paths. For centuries, we imagined particles in much the same way we imagine marble: solid, definite, choosing one route, never both. Then physicists sent electrons, those infinitesimal pieces of matter, toward 2 slits, and something astonishing happened. Instead of forming 2 simple piles behind the slits, the electrons painted an interference pattern across the screen, the same pattern you would see from overlapping waves on a pond. It was as if each electron passed through both slits at once, rippling like water, exploring 2 possibilities simultaneously, before settling on the spot where it finally landed. The wonder deepens even further. When electrons were sent one at a time so slowly that no 2 could possibly interfere, the same interference pattern emerged. Each electron behaved like a solitary wave, folding and unfolding through both slits, interfering with itself. The result was not a random scatter of dots, but a quiet, orderly arrangement of peaks and valleys, as if the universe was subtly sketching a hidden rhythm onto the screen. Then came the strangest part of all. When scientists placed a detector at the slits to discover which path an electron took, the interference vanished. The soft, wave-like behavior dissolved, and the electrons behaved like marbles again, choosing one slit or the other and leaving behind 2 simple clusters. The mere act of watching, even without touching, changed the outcome entirely. Without observation, electrons wandered through both slits as if sampling every possibility. With observation, they collapsed into a single, definite path. The universe seemed to ask you a quiet question: what kind of answer do you see, a wave or a particle? And in that moment, it tailored its behavior to the way you chose to look. To soften this idea, imagine a child playing alone, unaware of your presence. Left to themselves, they improvise, mutter, and create whole worlds with toys, scraps, and clouds of imagination. The moment they sense they are being watched, their play shifts. It becomes more deliberate, more linear, more self-conscious. A quantum particle, in its own mysterious way, mirrors that child-free and fluid when unobserved, structured and specific under the spotlight of measurement. The double-slit experiment invites you into a truth that refuses to be tamed. The world is not made of tiny billiard balls, each traveling predetermined paths. It is made of delicate probability waves that explore multiple possibilities, blending softly until attention causes them to settle. Reality is not a rigid stage where events unfold independently of you. It is something more intimate, something that responds, shifts, and reshapes itself according to the questions you ask and the way you choose to look. Feel this in your own life during those quieter moments. Notice how the mood of a room changes depending on the attention within it. A conversation can flow naturally when no one is judging it, but it can stiffen the moment someone scrutinizes every word. Artists know that creativity flourishes under gentle observation, yet falters under harsh scrutiny. Even your own thoughts behave differently when you try to inspect them too closely. They may fidget, blur, or slip away like fish beneath water. The double-slit experiment takes this human intuition and shows that it is not merely psychological, it is a principle woven into the very architecture of the cosmos. Observation is not passive, it is participatory. You do not merely witness the world, you help shape the form it takes. This does not mean that consciousness creates reality from pure imagination, but it does mean that interaction, measurement, and inquiry are threads in the tapestry of how the universe chooses its outcomes. The world is not something happening to you, it is a relationship unfolding with you. If particles can move through two slits at once, exploring multiple paths before choosing one, perhaps your own life carries more possibilities than the single trail you feel compelled to walk each day. Before a decision crystallizes, you hold within you a soft cluster of directions, dreams, hesitations, and potential futures glowing like faint ripples on a pond. Only when a moment of clarity, when a decision, a shift in perspective, a detector of intention shines upon you, do those possibilities collapse into something definite. The double-slit experiment does not claim to explain every mystery. Instead, it whispers that the world is more subtle than we ever imagined. Beneath the surface of certainty lies a shimmering field of alternate rhythms, erased or revealed depending on the gentleness of your gaze. Let this idea settle, and you may find a kind of peace. You do not always need to choose sharply or understand fully. Sometimes it is enough to recognize that life, like electrons, holds a quiet multiplicity, and that the way you look can change the story that arrives. As this thought softens into stillness, it gently prepares you for an even deeper mystery: how your attention not only influences particles, but also shapes the landscape of fields and vacuums that hold the universe together. There is a quiet moment that happens before you notice anything, a moment in which the world is still undecided, waiting, almost holding its breath. You might walk past a flower without seeing it, and in that instant it is merely a blur of color at the edge of your awareness. The moment you turn your gaze toward it, the moment your mind says, "I want to understand this," the flower emerges with texture and shape. You notice the folds of its petals, the faint shimmer of dew, the way morning light rests on its edges. Nothing physical has changed, yet everything about your experience is different. Your attention has created a kind of clarity. In quantum physics, a similar shift occurs. The universe does not present itself as a complete, fully formed picture waiting for you to walk through it like a museum. Instead, it offers possibility, soft, overlapping, shimmering possibilities. The questions you ask, the measurements you make, the angle from which you observe, all play a role in determining which of those possibilities steps forward into the world you experience. This does not mean that consciousness alone conjures reality into existence. The universe is not a dream that appears only when you imagine it. It does mean that what you choose to look for influences what you find. The world reacts to the framework of your question and answers in the language you use to ask. In this subtle relationship between attention and outcome, reality becomes a collaborative dance, an interaction rather than a solitary truth. To ease into this idea, Picture a painter standing before a blank canvas. They have a palette of countless colors, brushes of different shapes, and a mind full of emotions, memories, and impressions. They could paint a river, a sky, a still life, a storm, or a garden. The canvas itself holds all potential, but nothing becomes real until the painter chooses a brush, mixes a color, and makes the first stroke. The painting is not hidden in the canvas, it emerges through choice and attention. In the quantum world, a particle is like that canvas, carrying within it a spectrum of possible outcomes. A measurement is the painter's first brushstroke. It selects which aspect becomes actual, while the rest remain in the background like unchosen colors waiting quietly on the palette. Even the orientation of a measurement shapes the result. Ask a particle about its position, and it gives you a place. Ask about its momentum, and it gives you motion. Ask about its spin in one direction, and it settles into an answer that fits your question. Ask about its spin in another direction, and it responds anew. The particle is not a locked box of pre-written facts, it is a versatile storyteller that adapts its narrative to the listener. Think of someone you know well. When you ask them about their happiest memory, their voice warms, their posture eases, their eyes brighten. When you ask about a difficult time, the change is immediate, and a different truth emerges. Neither answer is the whole story, each is a facet illuminated by attention. In a similar way, quantum systems reveal different truths, depending on how you choose to observe them. Reality is not a rigid sculpture, it is more like an instrument waiting to be played. The music it produces depends on where you place your fingers, how strongly you pluck the strings, and which notes you listen for. This does not violate objectivity, it expands it. The object you measure is real, and so is the outcome, but neither is independent of the way you choose to engage with it. You and the universe meet halfway. Your questions form one part of the conversation, the quantum system responds with the other. Bring this into your daily life. Notice how your own perceptions shape the world you see. If you enter a room looking for flaws, they reveal themselves quickly: a crooked picture frame, a stain on the wall, a crumb on the table. Walk in with gratitude, and suddenly the room feels warm and inviting. The same environment, observed through different questions, provides different answers. Even your memories behave this way. A moment from childhood can feel joyful when viewed with affection, or bittersweet when viewed through the lens of loss. The memory hasn't changed, the question has. Attention is not a force that imposes itself, it is a gentle filter that colors experience. At the most fundamental level of physics, this filtering becomes more than a metaphor, it becomes a principle. What you choose to measure opens one door and closes another. What you choose to look for shapes the outcome you observe. There is something comforting in this. It tells you that you are not a passive passenger swept along by a predetermined script. You are an active participant, co-authoring the story as it unfolds. So, as you move forward, remember that the universe is humming with hidden possibilities, awaiting your gentle curiosity. Allow yourself moments of quiet observation, where you let questions arise without demanding immediate answers. Trust that the act of attending to a situation, a feeling, a dream, can shape its emergence in ways you cannot fully predict, yet can fully experience. Embrace the idea that you, like the electron, can explore many paths at once in the space of imagination before committing to a direction. Let that possibility energize you, rather than intimidate you. When you stand before a new challenge, imagine the ripples on the pond, the overlapping waves of potential outcomes. Allow the pattern to form in your mind without rushing to force a single answer. Notice how your attention subtly guides the shape of that pattern, and then make your choice with confidence, knowing that the act of deciding is itself a beautiful emergence of the many possibilities you have held within. In the quiet moments between decisions, honor the space where possibilities still shimmer. Let that space be a sanctuary of wonder, where you can breathe, imagine, and let your mind wander through the garden of what could be. When the moment arrives to measure, to act, to speak, you will bring with you the richness of the possibilities you have nurtured, and the world will respond in kind. This dance of observation and emergence is the very rhythm of a life lived fully. It invites you to step into each day with curiosity, with openness, with the knowledge that your attention is a gentle brushstroke on the canvas of existence. As you take each step, remember that you are both the observer and the creator, the listener and the storyteller. The universe is waiting, the possibilities are humming, and your gentle gaze is what turns the quiet murmur into a song. Embrace it, and let your life unfold as a beautiful, ever-evolving masterpiece. Imagine you ask a quantum particle about its spin, and it responds freshly each time, as if it were a storyteller reshaping its tale for every listener. It isn't a locked box of immutable facts, it's a vibrant narrator, whose voice changes with the question you pose. In physics, this is called contextuality, but you can feel it without any equations. Think of someone you love. When you invite them to recall a happy memory, their eyes brighten, their posture opens, a warmth spreads through their tone. When you ask about a painful moment, the shift is immediate, and a different truth surfaces that isn't false, just framed by the question you asked. Each answer is a facet illuminated by your attention. In the same way, quantum systems reveal varied aspects of reality, depending on how we choose to observe them. Reality, then, is not a rigid sculpture carved once and for all. It is more like an instrument waiting to be played. The music it produces depends on where you place your fingers, how gently or firmly you pluck the strings, and which notes you choose to listen for. This isn't a denial of objectivity, it is an expansion of it. The object you measure is real, the outcome is real, but neither exists in isolation from the way you engage with it. You and the universe meet halfway, your questions forming one half of a conversation, the quantum system answering the other. When you bring this insight into everyday life, you begin to see how your own perceptions shape the world you experience. Enter a room looking for flaws, and the crooked picture frame, the smudge on the wall, the stray crumb on the table announce themselves loudly. Walk in with gratitude, and suddenly the same space feels warm, inviting, alive with possibility. The environment hasn't changed, the question you carry has. Memories work the same way. A childhood moment can feel sweet when you revisit it with affection, or bittersweet when you view it through the lens of loss. The memory itself remains unchanged, the focus of your attention has shifted. Attention, then, is not a force that imposes its will, but a gentle filter that colors experience. At the deepest level of physics, this filtering becomes more than metaphor, it becomes a principle. What you choose to measure opens one door and closes another, and what you choose to look for shapes the outcome you observe. There is a comforting power in this realization. It tells you that you are not a passive passenger drifting through a fixed universe. You are a participant, subtly influencing the reality you encounter. Where you place your gaze, how softly or sharply you focus, the tenderness or intensity of your sterile of these matter. Picture reality as a vast ocean of possible currents, and your attention as a small rudder that guides your vessel, not with brute force, but with gentle steers. A shift in intention here, a question there, and the landscape transforms, revealing new textures, new patterns, new meanings. Quantum physics gives this idea a solid foundation, yet it belongs to anyone who has ever felt the power of focus. When you stop looking for reasons to worry, the world softens. When curiosity nudges you, familiar places become fresh and exciting. Your attention becomes a creative force, not because it fabricates the world, but because it selects which of the many possible facets reality offers you. As this understanding settles, it points you toward deeper layers of existence, the invisible oceans of fields that ripple beneath everything you see, and the vacuum that is never truly empty, but alive with quiet motion. If you peel back the layers of the world, wood, skin, leaves, stone, the brightness of stars, you might expect to find a solid bedrock of tiny particles, a foundation you could point to and declare, this is what everything is made of. Instead, the universe offers a gentler, more surprising truth. Strip away the familiar surfaces of matter, and you do not encounter a pile of beads or marbles. You encounter vast, invisible fields stretching across all of space, continuous rippling presence oceans without edges that fill every corner of reality. Particles, then, are not tiny objects floating inside these fields. They are brief, delicate ripples, like raindrops disturbing a still pond or a violin string gently plucked. Every particle you know corresponds to a particular field. There is an electron field that spans the entire universe when it ripples in just the right way. An electron emerges, There is a photon field, a trembling of it produces a particle of light. Fields exist for quarks, neutrinos, and for the forces that bind the cosmos together. Each fills all of space, humming quietly in the background like a distant choir's low, constant note. This means that the electron in your fingertip and the electron in a distant star are not separate objects made of separate material. They are ripples on the same underlying field, connected not by distance but by belonging to the same ocean. Space simply arranges its vibrations in different places, just as wind shapes different waves on the same sea. To picture this, imagine a calm lake at dawn. Its surface is glassy and still. When you tap the water with your fingertip, a ripple spreads outward on a small wave among many possible waves. That ripple isn't a separate object, it's a temporary pattern in the water itself. When the ripple fades, the lake remains unchanged in its essence. Likewise, when a particle appears, it is a temporary ripple in its field. When it disappears, the field remains steady and ever-present. This softens the idea of things. Matter becomes less like building blocks and more like music patterns emerging from deeper structures, notes rising and falling from instruments that never stop playing. Within these fields, a quiet rule keeps order, often called the rule of forbidden sameness. Think of two people trying to sit in the same chair simultaneously. Certain ripples can't occupy exactly the same pattern at the same time. This subtle rule is why your chair feels solid beneath you, why your hand cannot pass through a wall, why matter holds its shape. Solidity, then, is not an inherent property but a graceful agreement between waves, an arrangement that says, "This pattern is already taken, you must find another." Look around the room you're in right now. Every surface, every object, is the outcome of countless fields humming with tiny ripples, none truly separate from the ocean beneath them. This perspective brings a soothing coherence to the world. Matter is not a mosaic of disconnected parts, it is a unified, continuous fabric. You are not made of isolated pieces drifting through empty space. You are made of ripples in fields that stretch from one end of the cosmos to the other. The boundary between you and the universe begins to blur. Your body is a region of space where certain fields have adopted particular rhythms. There is tenderness in the idea that a single ripple cannot tell its own story. A wave on a lake carries the memory of the surface beneath it, the wind that shaped it, the stone that disturbed it. In the same way, every particle carries the imprint of its field, the silent backdrop that gives it meaning. No particle exists independently, it is always an expression of something deeper, something continuous. Even the forces you experience, electricity, magnetism, the strong interactions that hold atomic nuclei together, are not separate mechanisms. They are different ways these fields weave together, patterns in the ocean rising and fading, intertwining like currents beneath a river's surface. Then consider the vacuum, the state where these fields are as quiet as they can be. It sounds like emptiness, but quantum physics offers a gentle correction. Even at their lowest possible energy, fields never truly rest. They tremble with the faintest fluctuations, a whisper that potential never fully disappears. The vacuum is not a void, it is a lullaby sung by fields, waiting for the next ripple to begin. Bring this closer to your life and think of how your sense of self arises. You may imagine yourself as a solid, unchanging statue, but look closer and you find something more fluid. Thoughts, emotions, memories rise and fall like ripples. Your identity shifts with new experiences. The self becomes less a thing and more a pattern, a ripple formed within a deeper continuity of consciousness and connection. Beneath all the changing ripples, something continuous hums quietly, carrying the potential for new patterns to emerge. As this idea settles within you, it opens the path toward the next layer of exploration, the vacuum itself, which appears empty but is alive with secrets, energy, and the breathtaking possibility that nothingness is never truly nothing. Close your eyes and imagine nothing, a quiet darkness, an empty room with no sound, no movement, no light. For a long time, scientists imagined something similar when they spoke of the vacuum, a perfect void, the cosmic equivalent of untouched stillness. Yet the universe, in its gentle way, offers a softer correction. The vacuum, even without particles, heat, or motion, is not empty at all. It behaves like a resting instrument that never stops humming, even in perfect stillness. At the deepest level, where fields stretch across all of existence like invisible oceans, There is no such thing as silence. There is always a faint tremble, a subtle vibration, a quiet song the universe never stops singing. This whisper is sometimes called zero-point energy, a poetic way of saying that even at their lowest possible energy, quantum fields retain a small, irreducible shimmer, like a violin string that continues to vibrate long after the music fades. The universe cannot settle into perfect rest. It seems to prefer a gentle hum over absolute stillness, as if creation itself requires a little motion to stay alive. These tiny oscillations give rise to something even stranger: the brief appearance of virtual particles, fleeting sparks of existence that flicker in and out so quickly they feel like daydreams. They rise out of the vacuum and slip back before they can be fully noticed. Yet their presence reminds us that potential is always humming beneath the surface of apparent emptiness. When you internalize this truth, you begin to see that every moment holds a seed of possibility, waiting for the right attention to bring it into form. So, as you move through your day, remember that you are both the questioner and the answerer, the musician and the listener. Your focus is a rudder, your curiosity a pluck of a string, your intention a gentle press on a key. When you choose to look for wonder, gratitude, growth, the universe responds with ripples that match that tone. When you shift your gaze from limitation to possibility, you invite new patterns to emerge in the field of your life. You are not a passive observer in a fixed world. You are an active participant in a dance of continuous creation. Each thought, each breath, each question you ask reshapes the fabric of your experience, just as a quantum particle reshapes itself in response to the way you choose to observe it. Embrace this partnership with the universe. Let your attention be gentle yet purposeful, like a skilled musician coaxing a melody from a silent instrument. Trust that the fields beneath you are humming with potential, ready to support the ripples you wish to create. By aligning your intention with curiosity, by asking yourself empowering questions, you become a co-author of the story that unfolds around you. The world is not a static stage, it is a living, breathing symphony. And you hold a violin in your hands. Play it with confidence, with love, and with the knowledge that every note you choose shapes the music of your life. Imagine that everything you've ever felt, every thought that rises and falls, is part of a vast, unseen sea. In the world of physics, the forces we call electricity, magnetism, the strong pull that holds the heart of an atom together, are not separate levers that push and pull. They are simply different ways that underlying fields weave together, like currents beneath a river's surface, rising and fading in graceful patterns. When you shift the image of forces from invisible hands to gentle waves, you begin to see that the universe moves with an elegant rhythm, one that mirrors the inner landscape of our lives. Now picture the vacuum not as an empty void, but as the softest whisper of existence. It sounds like nothing at all, yet quantum physics tells a different story. Even in its quietest state, the vacuum never truly rests. It trembles with the faintest of fluctuations, a barely audible murmur that says potential never fully disappears. Think of this quiet hum as a lullaby sung by fields that are waiting for the next ripple to begin. This metaphor invites you to recognize that even in the moments you deem empty, there is a subtle, persistent energy poised to spark new possibilities. Your sense of self often feels solid, like a statue carved from stone, fixed and unchanging. Yet, if you look a little closer, you'll notice that thoughts, emotions, memories, and experiences rise and fall like ripples on a calm lake. Your identity, then, is less a rigid object and more a pattern, a beautiful, ever-shifting wave formed within a deeper continuity of consciousness and connection. Beneath every changing ripple, there is a quiet hum, an undercurrent that carries the potential for new patterns to emerge. When you let this idea settle inside you, it opens a pathway to deeper layers of understanding and growth. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine total stillness. Perhaps you see a dark, empty room with no sound, no light, no movement, a place where every ripple has faded and every whisper has gone silent. For many years, scientists imagined the vacuum in exactly the same way, a perfect void, a cosmic stillness untouched by anything at all. But the universe, in its gentle wisdom, offers a softer correction. Even in the most perfect stillness, there is a subtle vibration, a quiet song that never ceases. Physicists call this the zero-point energy, an irreducible shimmer, that persists even at the lowest possible energy level, like a violin string that continues to vibrate long after the bow has left it. Creation, it seems, prefers a gentle hum over absolute silence. These tiny, ever-present oscillations give rise to something even more astonishing: virtual particles that flicker in and out of existence like fireflies caught in the corner of your eye. They appear for an instant, borrowing a whisper of energy from the fields, and then vanish, returning that energy just as quickly. You cannot grasp them, but their presence is real enough to measure. One of the most delicate demonstrations of this phenomenon is the Casimir effect. Picture two tiny boats on a lake, drawn together not by a rope, but because the surrounding waves push them closer. In a similar way, the vacuum's subtle ripples nudge objects toward one another when they are placed extremely close. Even the colors of atoms, the faint glow of hydrogen, the soft lines in a star's spectrum all bear the signature of these invisible vibrations. These whispers of the vacuum are woven into the fabric of every moment, a ghost melody that runs beneath the main song of our lives. Their influence is not limited to the minuscule, they also shape the grandest scale of existence. The quiet energy of the vacuum fills each new region of space as the universe expands, never thinning out, never fading. It helps drive the gentle acceleration of cosmic expansion, a soft, ever-present breeze that pushes the cosmos forward. Yet, when physicists try to calculate just how strong this background hum should be, the numbers balloon to unimaginable levels, as if the vacuum should roar like a storm. The universe we observe, however, stretches calmly, tenderly, as if we hear only a whisper where theory predicts a thunderclap. This beautiful mismatch reminds us that the most profound truths often hide in the quiet places. In our own lives, we sometimes mistake stillness for emptiness, viewing pauses between events as wasted time. The quantum vacuum offers a different lens. It shows that stillness is rarely truly still. Beneath the surface of quiet moments, tiny shifts, new potentials, and unseen transformations continue to unfold. Those moments of nothingness become cradles of subtle beginnings, a place where the mind can rest, dream, heal, and integrate. Your inner vacuum hums with quiet energy, shaping who you become in ways you may never notice directly. When you allow yourself to pause, to let the mind unfocus gently, you are tuning into that background song, letting it guide you toward deeper insight and renewed purpose. Now turn that vision outward to the very birth of the universe. Picture the earliest moments not as a static landscape, but as a feeling, a hush before a storm, an utter fluidity where particles raced wildly. Fields trembled without rest, and nothing held its shape for more than a heartbeat. In this chaos, a field often called the Higgs field began to spread gently across all of space, like an invisible atmosphere or a soft cosmic fog. As objects moved through this fog, they experienced a subtle drag, much like your hand feels resistance when moving through water. That gentle resistance is what we interpret as mass. Imagine walking through a room filled with dancers. In some areas, the dancers are still, and you glide through easily. In others, they move densely, pulling you into their rhythm. The Higgs field behaves similarly, giving some particles a heavier feel while allowing others to remain light and nimble. When this field settled into its present form, the universe underwent a quiet transformation, akin to molten glass solidifying into a new shape. Suddenly, particles that had once been weightless could form stable structures. Electrons gained enough heft to orbit nuclei rather than fly away. Nuclei could hold together, atoms could arise, and the tapestry of matter began to weave itself into stars, planets, and ultimately, life. The Higgs field, in granting different amounts of resistance to different particles, gave the universe its texture and its possibilities. Without it, the stars you gaze upon would never ignite, the planets you walk upon would never exist, and the delicate layers of life would remain a mere whisper of potential. Beyond its scientific role, the Higgs field carries a deeper philosophical truth. The laws of reality are not rigid commandments etched in stone, but the result of how fields choose to settle. The field could have taken a different shape, leading to a universe unrecognizable to us, perhaps one where heavy particles never formed, where atoms could not bind, where gravity and light danced to a different rhythm. Our reality is but one scripted outcome, written by the particular pattern the Higgs field adopted. That insight can soften how we view our own identities. We often label ourselves as fixed I am this, I am not that. Yet beneath those statements lie patterns that gradually took shape: habits, memories, relationships, choices that settled over time to form what feels like a self. Just as the Higgs field gives particles their mass, the invisible fields within us, beliefs, values, emotions, impart weight and direction to our lives. When you recognize that both the universe and your own being arise from subtle, continuous fields, you begin to see that every ripple, every quiet hum, holds the promise of transformation. The empty spaces in your day, the moments when you feel you are standing still, are not voids to be filled hurriedly. They are fertile grounds where the inner vacuum sings its soft, persistent song, preparing the next wave of growth. Embrace those pauses as opportunities to listen to the quiet music within, to let potential gather, and to allow new possibilities to emerge. Every breath you take is a reminder that the cosmos is alive with gentle motion. The stars you see tonight are not isolated lights, they are the bright expressions of the vacuum's quiet energy, the same subtle hum that pushes the universe outward. You, too, are a luminous ripple on that vast ocean. When you align yourself with the rhythm of the underlying fields, both the scientific ones that shape matter and the inner ones that shape your consciousness, you begin to dance with the universe itself. You learn to move through life with the ease of a boat gliding on a lake, guided not by forceful pushes, but by the graceful currents that lift you. So, when you encounter a moment of stillness, pause and listen. Feel the faint tremor of possibility beneath the surface. Trust that the quiet energy within you is preparing the next chapter, even if you cannot yet see it. Allow the metaphor of the quantum vacuum to remind you that emptiness is never truly empty, that silence carries hidden strength, and that the softest breaths can sustain the grandest dreams. Let this awareness become a source of motivation, a gentle push that encourages you to step forward with confidence, knowing that the universe itself is humming in support of your journey. Remember, the next time you stand before a challenge, you are not confronting a cold, impersonal void. You are standing on a stage set by an ever-present field that yearns for patterns to emerge. Your thoughts, your actions, your aspirations are the ripples that rise upon this stage. Each ripple, no matter how small, contributes to the evolving melody of your life. Embrace the flow, trust the underlying hum, and let it guide you toward the vibrant, ever-expanding horizon that awaits. Imagine a field that is everywhere, unseen, like the gentle crowd of air that moves through a room, carrying whispers and scents. Some particles glide through it without a second thought, while others feel its subtle tug, gaining weight as they become part of a slow-moving tide. In the earliest moments of the universe, before anything we recognize took shape, this field was weightless, unable to hold together the seeds of matter. As the cosmos cooled, the field, a delicate, ever-present presence, underwent a quiet transformation, much like molten glass that suddenly decides to harden into a new form. Once it settled into its chosen shape, everything changed. That transformation can be thought of as a phase transition, but a softer one the moment water decides to become ice, the way steam condenses into gentle rain. It was a gradual, decisive shift, and as the field steadied, different particles began to feel different amounts of resistance. Some slowed dramatically, becoming heavy and grounded. Others barely noticed the change and remained light and nimble. This cosmic sorting gave the universe its texture, making patterns that once seemed impossible become inevitable. Electrons found enough mass to orbit rather than race away, nuclear learned to hold together, and the first true structures emerged. In essence, this invisible field sculpted a reality that could endure. Without it, stars would never ignite, planets would never form, and life would remain a mere whisper of possibility. The deeper truth hidden in this story is that the laws of the universe don't arise from rigid commandments, they arise from the way fields choose to settle. The field could have crystallized into a different pattern, with different strengths, and the universe would look unrecognizable. Heavier particles might never exist, atoms might never bind, gravity and light could waltz in entirely different proportions. Our reality is not the only possible script, it is simply the one written by the particular shape this field decided to take. Bring that idea home to yourself. We often picture our identities as fixed I am this, I am not that. Yet beneath those statements lie patterns that formed gradually habits, memories, relationships, choices all settling over time to create the sense of a self. Inside each of us reside invisible fields, the tone of our childhood, the music of our culture, the warmth or coolness of the environments that shaped us. These act as currents that give us mass, shaping the version of ourselves that moves through the world. There are moments when those inner fields shift suddenly, like water freezing or melting, a loss, a discovery, a quiet realization, a surge of courage. After such an event, you find yourself moving differently, forever altered by a transformation that others may not see. Just as the cosmic field reshaped reality, the subtle shifts within us can reshape the very texture of our lives. Even today, that field rests in a stable form, yet physicists know it could have settled elsewhere. It sits in a gentle valley of energy, but far above lies another, unimaginable valley, a different resting place, a different configuration. If the field ever slipped into that deeper valley, the universe would be rewritten, not with fire or force, but with a quiet restructuring from the inside out. New laws, new possibilities, a brand new reality would arise from a simple change in the field's shape. This is not something to fear. The cosmos moves slowly with immense patience. The field has remained settled for billions of years. Instead of worry, this idea offers peace. Even the foundations of reality have room to breathe. Even the deepest fields carry the potential for change. Nothing is so fixed that it cannot shift. Nothing is so complete that it cannot evolve. Let that lesson settle in your heart. Reality does not come from unchangeable particles, but from patterns of relationship, fields humming across space, offering resistance, shaping motion, sculpting existence. When we look at ourselves with the same softness, we begin to appreciate how our own identities emerge from context, interaction, and the invisible atmospheres of our lives. The meaning slowly folds itself into stillness, opening a gentle doorway toward the next part of our journey, the nature of time itself. Time often feels like a straight road, smooth and predictable, stretching confidently from a clear beginning toward a definite end. Morning follows night, footsteps follow footsteps. Memories line up in tidy rows marching forward. Yet beneath that surface, at the scale where particles flicker and fields breathe, time behaves with a softness that defies straight lines. It bends, folds, hesitates, sometimes even loops back on itself like ripples drifting upstream, before surrendering to the current again. Consider the fleeting dance of virtual particles, brief sparks that rise from the vacuum, borrow a whisper of energy, and then return it in an instant. Their tiny borrowings are not random, they form the background hum of existence, the constant shimmer beneath every atom and field. In their hurried lives, cause and effect begin to blur. Imagine dropping a pebble into a pond and expecting the ripples to spread only after the stone touches the water. At the quantum scale, there are moments when the ripples appear a heartbeat before the pebble lands, soft hints of motion that seem to anticipate the event rather than respond to it. The universe isn't breaking its rules. The rules, when softened to their finest texture, allow small fluctuations to drift out of sequence, like improvisational notes in a melody. This gentle bending of time's arrow becomes even more intriguing when we explore how certain particles can be interpreted. When a particle of light interacts with empty space, or when an electron flirts with a trembling vacuum, the mathematics of its motion often allows paths that seem to slip backward in time. One way to picture this is to imagine watching a bird through a window. It swoops across your field of vision, graceful and swift, then disappears behind a building. Moments later, you see another swoop in the opposite direction. If you piece the motions together, the bird's story might look like a tiny loop, a curl in the fabric of motion. In this gentle framing, a particle moving backward in time can be seen as a different particle moving forward. It's like looking at footprints on a beach and being unsure whether the traveler walked toward the water or away from it. Both interpretations describe the same pattern, just viewed from different angles. These soft, strange perspectives help us understand that time, especially at the smallest scales, is not the rigid commander we often imagine. It behaves more like a suggestion, allowing brief, subtle divergences that enrich the universe rather than disrupt it. Those divergences are not dramatic rewinds of clocks or grand loops of science fiction. They are whisper-tiny ripples that drift against the current before blending back into the flow. You have likely felt echoes of this softness in your own experience. Think of déjà vu, that brief tug in the mind where present and past overlap, where a moment feels like it's arriving for the second time, even though you know it's the first. Consider how memories reshape themselves with each recollection, turning a moment from years ago into something of a different color or tone. Even the rhythm of your breathing can stretch or shrink your sense of time, slowing during calm, quickening during urgency. These are not quantum phenomena in a strict sense, but they mirror the flexibility underlying the physical world. At its most fundamental, time is not a dictator, but a rhythm, and rhythms can change. They can pause, stretch, quicken, or seem to rewind in the softest ways. To feel this dance intuitively, imagine holding a ribbon between your hands. You can stretch it straight, smooth, and flat, but you can also let it loosen, allowing gentle curves to form. The ribbon doesn't break or resist, it simply reveals shapes that were always possible, unseen until you soften your grip. Time behaves much the same way. The straight line is only one of the forms it can take. Cause and effect are not rigid blocks, they are stories. And stories can be told in different ways depending on where you choose to begin. Some events may feel as though they precede themselves, especially in the fleeting world of quantum fluctuations. Others curl into loops that only make sense quietly in the background of the universe's hum. These small temporal flexibilities are essential, not optional. Without them, the vacuum could not hum with energy. Without that hum, atoms could not form without atoms. The world as we know it, stars, oceans, voices, dreams would never arise. Time's softness is not a flaw, it is a quiet gift, a slender thread woven into the fabric of being. As the meaning folds itself into stillness, it invites us to see moments not as soldiers marching forward, but as swirls and weaves gently influenced by subtle interactions beneath everything we touch. From this swirling foundation arises another curiosity, the way time can freeze under watchful eyes, paused by attention itself, waiting for stillness to break before continuing its flow. Imagine tending a garden. You lean in to check on a budding flower, watching closely to see if it has opened since the last glance. The more often you check, the less it seems to change, as if your attention becomes a pause button, holding growth in place. Only when you step away, letting time breathe, do you return to discover the bud has unfolded into something new. The quantum world offers a literal version of this experience, known in technical language as the quantum Zeno effect. In a softer framing, it's the tendency of a system to freeze when we repeatedly try to observe or verify what it is doing. Not because observation is harsh, but because each act of looking interrupts the very process we're trying to witness. Picture a candle flame in a quiet room. The flame wavers softly, following its natural rhythm, brightening, dimming, swaying almost imperceptibly. If you stare at it without blinking, you disturb the delicate dance of oxygen and wax, and the flame may linger in a particular state longer than it otherwise would. In the same way, the act of constant observation can hold a quantum system in place, pausing its evolution. This gentle principle reminds us that attention is powerful. It can shape the flow of events, not by forcing them, but by offering them space to unfold. Take this lesson into your own life. When you fixate on a fear, a doubt, a moment you wish would change, you may unintentionally freeze it, keeping it static. When you step back, breathe, and give the situation room, you allow transformation to happen naturally. The universe whispers that the most profound changes often emerge when we release the grip of relentless scrutiny and trust the process to move forward. So let the story of the invisible field, the soft bending of time, and the quiet pause created by gentle observation become a source of inspiration. Recognize that the foundations of reality are not immutable walls, but pliable landscapes, ever ready to shift in response to subtle forces. Within you lies an inner field, shaped by your experiences, cultures, and choices, capable of gaining new weight or shedding old burdens. Moments of loss, discovery, courage, or love are like the universe's phase transitions, gradual yet decisive, reshaping who you are. Embrace the idea that your identity is not a rigid script, but an evolving narrative, continually sculpted by the currents around you. When you feel stuck, remember that even the cosmos has spent billions of years in patient stillness, allowing its fields to settle and then, perhaps to shift again. Trust that you too can settle into a stable form and later bloom into a new configuration when the conditions are right. Feel the ribbon in your hands, the candle's flame, the garden's bud. Allow the softness of time, the gentle bend of cause and effect, the quiet power of attention to remind you that change is possible, that progression is not always a straight line, and that the very act of pausing can be a catalyst for growth. Let this understanding fuel your actions today. Step forward with confidence, knowing that the universe supports your evolution, that the invisible fields that surround you are ready to confer new weight where you desire, and that your own observations can either freeze a moment or set it free. Carry this awareness as you move through the day, and let it inspire you to act with purpose, to nurture the seeds of transformation within, and to trust the patient rhythm of the cosmos that mirrors your own journey. The world around you and the world within you are open to subtle shifts, each one a chance to become more fully the person you are meant to be. Embrace the dance, let the ribbon curl, let the flame breathe, and let your life unfold with the graceful, ever-softening flow of time itself. Imagine you're holding a ribbon between your fingertips, feeling its gentle give as you stretch it out. When you pull it taut, it lies smooth and straight, a perfect line. But if you ease your grip, the ribbon sighs into graceful curves, revealing shapes that were always there, waiting for a softer touch to show themselves. Time behaves in much the same way. We often think of it as a rigid, marching line, but it too can loosen, bend, and swirl when we allow ourselves to relax the hold we have on it. Cause and effect are not unbreakable blocks, they are stories we choose how to start, how to tell, how to listen to. Some moments feel as if they loop back on themselves, like those fleeting whispers of quantum fluctuations that curl into delicate circles behind the hum of the universe. Those tiny flexibilities in the fabric of time are not optional ornaments, they are essential. Without them, the vacuum would be silent, atoms would never coalesce, and the stars, oceans, voices, and dreams we cherish would never be born. The softness of time is a quiet gift, a slender thread woven through every heartbeat of existence. It reminds us that moments don't march forward like soldiers, they dance, they weave, they are gently nudged by invisible currents beneath everything we touch. When we tune into that subtle choreography, another wonder appears: the way attention can pause the flow of time itself. Picture yourself tending a garden. You lean in, eyes fixed on a tiny bud, watching for the slightest unfurling. The more you stare, the slower the bud seems to change, as if your gaze holds it in place. Only when you step back, giving the plant room to breathe, does the bud surprise you with a fresh blossom. This ordinary garden lesson mirrors a profound principle from the quantum world, known as the quantum Zeno effect. In gentle terms, it tells us that when we keep checking on something repeatedly, measuring, observing, interrogating, it can freeze, caught in a loop of its own becoming. The act of looking interrupts the natural rhythm, forcing the system to restart its dance with each new glance. To feel this, imagine a candle flame flickering peacefully in a quiet room. Its light sways, brightens, dims, a soft, unhurried melody of fire. Now picture a camera snapping a flash at every heartbeat, each burst of brightness slicing through the flame's rhythm. The flame still burns, but each flash jolts it, resetting its motion, making the dance of light more hesitant, more brittle. With enough interruptions, the flame's graceful sway becomes almost still. Quantum particles behave in a similar fashion. Left alone, they glide from one possible state to another, like notes drifting in a melody. Yet if we constantly ask, "Are you still in this state?" each question forces a reset, and the particle barely moves at all. The system becomes pinned, unable to transition, frozen by our relentless curiosity. This isn't just a quirky fact about subatomic particles, it's a mirror to our everyday lives. Think of a wound trying to heal. Your body knows the choreography: cells gather, weave, seal, strengthen. If you keep picking at the scab, checking its progress, you interrupt the process, sending the cells back to the start. Healing needs trust, patience, and the willingness to let things unfold without constant interference. Relationships echo this pattern, too. When we over-monitor a friendship, a romance, or even a quiet bond forged over years, the natural rhythm of closeness and distance stiffens under pressure. trust morphs into watchfulness. The gentle motion that once guided the connection is repeatedly reset. The warmth cools, and the dance becomes uncertain. Even dreams offer a glimpse. While you're still within them, if you begin to question, why am I here? Is this real? The dream often dissolves, unable to survive the spotlight of scrutiny. It needs space, darkness, a place to simply be. The quantum Zeno effect suggests that time itself can become a series of pauses and starts when we inspect it too frequently. It's a reminder that even something as vast and inexorable as time needs to breathe. Imagine standing on a quiet shore, watching waves rise, crest, and fall. If you were to throw stones at each wave the moment it begins to swell, the wave would never reach its full shape. The ocean would remain restless yet incomplete. The universe's rhythms, likewise, hesitate under constant measurement. There's a soothing truth in all of this change, whether in particles, people, or experiences, requires freedom. It thrives in moments where we let go, where we allow life to move without our incessant checking. Stillness can sometimes be the product of too much attention, not the natural state of being. We often hold ourselves in place, not because we belong there, but because we watch ourselves too carefully, waiting for certainty, questioning every step, inspecting every movement. In doing so, life can feel stuck even while possibilities swirl around us, eager to move forward. The quantum world offers a gentle antidote. When we give intervals between our questions, when we allow the gaps to widen, the natural evolution resumes, melodies reconnect, ripples return. The dancer takes another step. The timeline loosens its grip and flows once more. So let's practice softening our attention. Allow some things to unfold quietly without demanding immediate answers. Trust that not everything needs to be observed to become real. Some transformations grow best in the dark seeds beneath soil. Ideas simmering in the mind, dreams that linger unnamed until the right moment. Within this lesson, a deeper truth surfaces. Time isn't merely a carrier that pushes us forward, it's also an invitation to step back, to let it work its subtle magic. A river doesn't rush because we stare at it, it flows on its own. And often the most profound shifts happen when we stop watching long enough for the world to exhale. Now consider the walls we encounter, not just the literal ones that define rooms, but the mental and emotional barriers that tell us where we end and the unknown begins. At first glance, they seem solid, unyielding. Yet deep within the quiet machinery of the universe, particles slip through barriers far thicker than themselves, crossing thresholds they seemingly have no right to breach. This phenomenon, called quantum tunneling, is a soft reminder that boundaries are often thinner, more flexible than they appear. Picture a gentle fog drifting across a field. You place a fence in the middle of that field, but the fog doesn't stop, it seeps through the smallest gaps, wrapping around the fence, moving on. A quantum particle behaves similarly. It isn't a tiny ball forcing its way through, it's a cloud of probability, a soft smear of possibility that can extend into regions the classical world would forbid. At the smallest scales, particles are described as waves of likelihood, like the scent of a candle drifting through a room. When such a wave meets a barrier, it doesn't halt abruptly, it tapers like the tail of a sigh. Yet if the barrier is thin enough, or the wave persistent enough, a whisper of that wave leaks through, emerging on the other side as a particle where it statistically shouldn't be. This isn't a rare trick, it's woven into the very processes that keep our world alive. The sun's radiant furnace, for instance, depends on tunneling. Hydrogen nuclei at the sun's core don't have enough energy to smash together in a classical collision, yet they quietly slip through the electrostatic repulsion that should keep them apart. They merge not through brute force, but through subtle, whispered passage. The star that warms our days is powered by these delicate betrayals of intuition, not by violent bangs. Think of two shy people sitting on the same bench, close enough to feel each other's presence yet separated by an invisible wall of hesitation. In a classical sense, that wall would remain until one summons the courage to cross it. In the quantum realm, however, the wall softens, possibility slides through, and a brief moment of connection can appear before either consciously decides to act. That, in essence, is tunneling, a reminder that many of the barriers we perceive as solid are actually made of thinner material than we think. Emotional boundaries, fears, stories we tell ourselves about what is possible, these can all be permeated by a small, persistent part of us that already exists on the other side, waiting for the right moment to emerge. When you recognize this, you begin to see opportunities where none seem to be. A spark of courage can appear out of nowhere. A flash of insight can surface when you least expect it. A chance encounter can feel like a quiet miracle. The universe, at its deepest level, whispers that possibilities are always seeping through, even when we're not looking. All we need to do is soften our grip enough to feel them, to let them flow into our awareness without forcing them. So as you move through your day, remember the ribbon and the way it reveals new shapes when you loosen your hold. Recall the garden bud that blossoms when you step back, the candle flame that steadies when you stop flashing it with relentless light, and the wave that slips through a fence made of fog. Trust that the rhythm of life is a dance of soft openings and gentle releases. Allow yourself the freedom to observe without imprisoning, to listen without interrupting, and to step through the walls that once seemed impenetrable. In doing so, you align with the quiet intelligence of the cosmos, and you become a participant in a story that is always unfolding, always inviting you to flow, to expand, and to shine. It's funny how a fence can look solid enough to keep the mist at bay, yet the fog simply finds its way through the tiniest cracks, slipping past the wood and weaving its way into the open air. Imagine that same subtle persistence inside your own life. When a barrier feels thick and immovable, it isn't always a wall at all. It can be a thin veil, a whisper of possibility waiting for you to notice the spaces between the slats. In the world of the very small, a particle doesn't behave like a marble that has to force its way through a gap. It exists as a cloud of probability, a delicate blur of potential that drifts, expands, and sometimes stretches into places that the ordinary rules of physics would forbid. Picture that cloud as the scent of a candle drifting lazily through a room. When it meets a barrier, it doesn't stop abruptly, it tapers off like the tail of a sigh. Yet if the barrier is thin enough, or if the scent is persistent enough, a small part of it slips through, reforming on the other side as if it had never been blocked at all. That quiet, almost invisible crossing is called quantum tunneling. The sun itself is powered by this kind of gentle trespassing. Deep in its core, hydrogen atoms are too sluggish and too repelled by each other's electric charge to simply smash together in the way our everyday intuition expects. Instead, they quietly tunnel through the energetic hill that separates them, merging in a whisper rather than a bang. The light and warmth that bathe our days, the seasons that turn and change, these are the result of particles finding the softest rote, of borders giving way not through brute force but through subtle, persistent possibility. Think of two people on a bench, each holding a secret shyness that creates an invisible wall between them. In a classical picture, that wall stays put until one of them summons enough courage to cross it outright. In the quantum picture, however, the wall itself is not absolute. The very notion of shyness becomes porous. A fleeting moment of connection appears, a shared glance or a gentle touch, before either person consciously decides to reach out. That little encounter is the essence of tunneling. Boundaries that seem solid are, in truth, permeable if we learn to notice the gaps. Our lives are full of such emotional fences. Fear tells us that a certain dream is out of reach. A story we tell ourselves builds a barrier around a new relationship. An opportunity feels locked behind a door we think we cannot open. Yet, just as a particle can seep through an energetic hill, our own inner possibilities often find the tiniest openings and slip through before we even recognize that the barrier existed. The courage that bursts into action, the insight that flashes in a quiet moment, the connection that seems to arise from nowhere. These are not miracles that defy logic. They are the soft, sneaking tides of possibility moving through what we once thought was solid. When we cling to the idea that some things are simply impossible, we are imposing a classical line on a quantum world. In everyday life, we tend to categorize outcomes: what can be done versus what cannot, what is reachable versus what is forever out of bounds. Yet at the quantum level, there is no such hard dividing line, only a spectrum of likelihood. Some paths are more probable, others less so, but none are completely erased. Even the walls of atoms, the very scaffolding of solid matter, are alive with countless tunneling events. Imagine a raindrop perched on a windowsill. For a moment it seems to be fixed, Then, without any obvious push, it slides down the glass in a quiet cascade. Inside your own body, electrons tunnel from one energy level to another, rearranging the architecture of matter in ways that make chemistry the very chemistry of life possible. Tunneling is not a rare, exotic phenomenon reserved for distant labs. It is a constant hum in the fabric of reality, like the steady beating of a hidden heart. It fuels radioactive decay, allows particles to escape from atomic nuclei. It powers the nanoscopic switches. Inside the computers we rely on. It accelerates the enzymes inside our cells, letting biochemical reactions happen at breathtaking speed. Each of these events reminds us that the universe does not obey rigid, unbending borders. It works through gentle persistence, allowing possibility to seep into places where certainty would say no. When you stand before a boundary in your own life, an idea that feels out of reach, a hope that seems blocked, a fear that tells you cannot move forward, remember that even the smallest particles are not fully captive to their constraints. They find ways to slip through, not by brute strength, but by allowing their inherent softness to guide them. They locate the tiny spaces where possibility quietly gathers and make their passage there. In this sense, tunneling becomes more than a physical principle. It transforms into a metaphor for resilience, for quiet courage, for the subtle ways we navigate walls that appear too heavy to climb. Not every path must be walked directly. Some are entered through overflow, through patience, through the willingness to let our potential seep into new spaces before we fully understand the journey ahead. Imagine a traveler tracing lines across a map, fingers gliding over valleys, rivers, and mountain passes. Before a single road is chosen, the journey exists in a soft limbo of many possible routes, each waiting quietly in the folds of paper. At the quantum level, particles behave with a similar openness. An electron does not decide on a single path ahead of time. It spreads into every possible route at once, exploring every curve, every crossing, every diversion as softly as fog winding through a forest. Physicists call this the path integral, but we can picture it more gently: a traveler who considers every trail simultaneously, each possibility adding its own faint note to the symphony of reality. When the traveler finally steps forward, a single path becomes real, not because a rigid choice was forced, but because the universe held a quiet conversation among countless options and allowed one to emerge. Likewise, a particle's final position is the result of an orchestra of possibilities, each path contributing to a harmonious whole. The outcome isn't a single, isolated decision. It is the culmination of many whispered alternatives that interfere, reinforce, or cancel each other until a single note rises above the rest. Think of a flock of birds wheeling across the evening sky. Each bird moves with its own rhythm, yet the whole flock flows as a single, graceful organism. Patterns emerge that no single bird intends, but every feather contributes to the shape. A quantum particle works the same way. Its final trajectory is an emergent shape drawn from a vast chorus of tiny contributions, an elegant pattern that would be impossible if each particle were forced down a single, predetermined line. In our own lives, we experience similar moments. Before we make a major decision: where to live, whom to love, which career to pursue, our minds wander through a forest of possibilities. We try on alternate versions of ourselves like outfits on a rack, each one feeling both familiar and strange. Sometimes we become lost among the branches, unsure which direction is best. Yet when the moment arrives, a decision solidifies, a path ripens, and the others fade into the background. Those unchosen futures don't disappear entirely. They linger as a quiet hum beneath the story we ultimately live, much like quantum paths that cancel each other out, leaving a single, resonant melody. Picture a stone tossed into a lake. Ripples spread outward, intersecting, overlapping, sometimes building on one another, sometimes smoothing each other into stillness. After the water settles, the surface bears a pattern that reflects the sum of all those interactions. A particle's journey resembles this ripple pattern, an interference of potentials that gives rise to a single, observable outcome. The universe, then, does not eliminate possibilities, it weaves them together. Even when a particle ends up in one place rather than another, that final position carries the memory of every path it could have taken. There is comfort in this view. Too often we imagine our lives as a single file of moments, each pushing the next in a straight line. Yet beneath that simplicity lies a richer truth before each step we take. There is a symphony of potential steps, a quiet orchestra of choices we consider, emotions we weigh, dreams we rehearse, and fears we hold. The path we ultimately walk is shaped by the interference of all those possibilities, just as a particle's path is influenced by fields, forces, and hidden currents. Our decisions are nudged by countless subtleties. A conversation with a stranger, a kind word heard at the right moment, a thought that drifts into our mind when we need it most. None of these forces dictate our destiny, but each adds a thread to the tapestry of our present. This perspective also softens our relationship with regret. In the quantum picture, the path not taken still played a role. It helped shape the interference pattern that led to this moment. Your what-ifs and almost-was are not meaningless ghosts. They contributed to the shape of the life you now live, just as untraveled quantum paths shape the final behavior of a particle. You become who you are not through a single choice alone, but through the entire landscape of choices you walked among, even those you eventually left behind. We are all travelers in a many-path world, moving through possibilities that whisper to us before condensing into moments. When we pause long enough to listen, we might hear the faint music of those paths. The lives we did not take yet still carry within us. As this thought settles like a leaf floating on calm water, another delicate truth arises. The universe not only weaves many paths into a single outcome, it also hides entire worlds of possibility behind each choice we make. It is like fog gathering densely before it falls softly as rain. The unseen droplets of potential hover, ready to descend when the moment is right, and when they do, they transform the landscape in a way that feels both new and familiar. So, when you face a fenserial or imagined, remember that the mist does not stop at the wood it finds its way through, reshaping the world beyond. Your courage, your insight, your love, your creativity are all mist, flowing through the smallest openings in the walls you think are impenetrable. You don't have to smash the fence down with force. You simply need to be aware of the gaps, to feel where the probability cloud of your intention thins, and to allow yourself to drift through. That is the subtle, powerful art of tunneling in life, the ability to move beyond perceived limits not by breaking them, but by discovering the hidden spaces where possibility gathers. Let this understanding settle into your heart as a quiet invitation. When a goal feels distant, picture the hydrogen atoms in the sun, quietly slipping past their barriers, merging not through force, but through grace. When fear builds a wall between you and a new relationship, imagine the two shy people on the bench, whose invisible barrier softens, allowing a brief touch of connection before either consciously decides to reach out. When a dream seems locked behind a door, see the particle that, instead of facing an impossible wall, spreads into a cloud of many paths, each one whispering a possible route, until one becomes real. Each of these images is a reminder that the boundaries we encounter are often thinner than we think. The universe constantly demonstrates that even the smallest building blocks of reality are capable of quiet rebellion, of slipping through, of forging new possibilities without breaking the whole. If the atoms that power the sun can do it, so can we. If a wave of probability can fade gently into a barrier and then blossom on the other side, our own hopes can soften their own edges, diffuse, and emerge where we least expect them. Take a deep breath and feel the gentle persistence of the fog, the soft seepage of possibility. Let it remind you that you are not confined to a single, rigid path. Your life is a superposition of many potential routes, each humming with its own note. When you become aware of this, you stop fearing the unknown and start listening to the subtle music of all the ways you could move forward. You learn to trust that the universe is already holding a conversation among countless options, and that you are a participant in that dialogue, contributing your own faint melody. The next time a wall appears, whether it's a self-imposed limit, an external circumstance, or a deeply held belief pause, look for the smallest crack, the tiniest opening where the probability cloud of your intention can seep through. Acknowledge the barrier, but don't let it define you. Instead, let your intention be like the electron tunneling through a thin barrier, patient, persistent, and willing to exist in a state of gentle possibility. As you do, you will find that the barrier begins to dissolve, not because it is shattered, but because it was never as solid as it seemed. In this way, quantum tunneling becomes more than a scientific curiosity. It becomes a living metaphor for the subtle, resilient power that lives within you. It teaches that transformation often occurs not through dramatic breaks but through quiet, persistent seepage. It shows that the most profound changes can happen when you allow yourself to be a soft, permeable cloud of possibility, moving through the world with the graceful ease of mist. Carry this image with you as you go about your day. Let it color the way you approach challenges, the way you interact with others, the way you nurture your dreams. When you feel blocked, imagine the sun's core, the candle's scent, the raindrop on the window itch, finding a way to move forward despite apparent obstacles. Remember that the universe is a tapestry woven from countless threads of possibility, and you are one of those threads, gently threading your way through the fabric of existence. And as you move forward, know that every small seepage, every quiet moment of courage, every whisper of insight adds to the grand symphony of your life. The music of all possible paths converges into the melody you hear today. Trust that this melody is already being composed, that every potential route you have ever imagined, even the ones you never chose, plays a part in the harmony that shapes who you are now. Let that realization fill you with a quiet confidence, a sense of belonging to something far larger than a single, linear story. Your journey, like the quantum world, is a beautiful, intricate dance of possibilities. Embrace the softness, cherish the openings, and let your spirit flow through the gaps. In doing so, you become the living embodiment of the timeless lesson that even the tiniest particles can cross the most stubborn of barriers, not by breaking them, but by simply being enough to find the smallest place where the wall thins, and gently, persistently, slipping through. This is the secret of resilience, the essence of quiet bravery, and the invitation to step into the life that awaits on the other side of every perceived limit. Imagine the quiet hush of all the possibilities you have ever carried, the faint music of lives that could have been, lingering just beneath the surface of the story you are living right now. Those unchosen futures are not lost, they are like the hidden threads of a tapestry, weaving together to give shape to the melody that arrives in the present moment. Picture a stone dropped into a still lake. The ripples spread outward, intersecting, amplifying, and sometimes softening one another, until the surface settles into a new shape that reflects the sum of every interaction. In the same way, every particle, every thought, every decision moves through a sea of potential paths, each one contributing to the final pattern that appears. There is a gentle comfort in realizing that the universe does not simply erase the roads not taken. Instead, it gathers them, blends them, and lets their echoes shape the outcome you experience. When a particle arrives at a point, it does so because of the countless routes it could have traveled, each route leaving a trace in the fabric of possibility. That same principle lives inside you. Too often we picture our lives as a straight line of moments, each pushing the next forward. Beneath that simplistic picture lies a richer truth. Before each step, an entire orchestra of options hums quietly as you weigh, emotions you feel, dreams you rehearse, and fears you balance. Your path is not forged in isolation. It is sculpted by the subtle currents that surround you, a conversation that lingers in memory, a kindness offered by a stranger, a fleeting thought that arrives at just the right moment. These influences do not dictate where you will end up, but they nudge some possibilities forward while quieting others, creating an interference pattern that becomes the music of your life. When you view regret through this lens, it softens. The road you did not travel still played its part, shaping the interference that led you to where you stand now. Your unchosen futures, the alternate selves that whisper what if, are not empty ghosts. They are part of the fabric that spun the present you live in, just as unseen quantum paths shape a particle's final behavior. You become who you are not through a single decisive choice, but through the entire landscape of possibilities you have walked among, even those you ultimately left behind. Imagine yourself as a traveler in a world of many paths, moving through a field of whispers that condense into moments whenever you pause long enough to listen. In those pauses, you might hear the faint echo of paths you did not take, a delicate hum that reminds you that the universe does not simply collapse possibilities into a single outcome, it also hides entire worlds of what might be behind each decision. Think of a fog drifting over a valley at dawn. The hills and trees are present, yet softened, their edges blurred. The landscape exists, but its precise shape is not yet committed. This mist is a beautiful image of superposition, the quantum state in which many outcomes coexist, waiting for a question to bring one into focus. At the smallest scales, particles do not sit in one fixed spot or hold a single identity. They float among multiple positions, orientations, and futures, layered quietly atop one another. They are not indecisive, they are free to explore every allowed configuration until the universe gently asks them to settle. When observation arrives, the fog clears. All the overlapping possibilities fade like mist turning into a single raindrop, and the particle snaps into a definite state. This is often called wave function collapse, but you can see it as a choice, the universe's way of saying, among all the paths you could have taken, this one becomes real. The other possibilities do not vanish into emptiness, they retreat into silence, becoming part of the hidden scaffolding that shaped the final outcome. Much like a dream that fades upon waking yet leaves behind a lingering feeling, a mood, an echo of what might have been. Imagine a musician improvising. Before a note is played, a cloud of musical possibilities surrounds the performer. They might rise into a bright phrase or glide into something tender. When the finger presses the string or the breath shapes the sound, one note becomes real. Yet the beauty of the performance is also shaped by the notes that were not chosen, the silent companions that give the chosen note its meaning. Possibility births presence, and presence carries the imprint of what it could have been. Some interpretations of quantum physics take this further, suggesting that every possibility becomes real in its own branch of reality, a concept known as the many worlds view. In this picture, each potential outcome sprouts its own river from a single spring, flowing into distinct universes. One branch sees a particle turn left, another sees it turn right, a third watches it drift somewhere in between. None of the branches erase the others, they coexist, woven into a cosmic tapestry far larger than any single view can contain. Whether these parallel worlds exist literally or metaphorically, the image offers an emotional truth: the choices you don't take are not failures, they are paths that continue somewhere beyond your sight, shaping the possibilities that remain available to you. Life, then, is not a narrow hallway, but a vast landscape rich with unseen trails. Another perspective, grounded into coherence, envisions the world not splitting into separate universes, but into distinct patterns, like branches of a tree that grow close together yet never touch again. When a system interacts with its environment, the delicate superposition becomes entangled with countless surrounding vibrations, producing separate, non-overlapping outcomes. Picture a garden blossoming in multiple directions at once. Some branches bear fruit, others stretch into shade, some twist unpredictably. Each branch belongs to the same tree, yet each follows its own trajectory. This metaphor captures the organic way possibilities separate and develop their own coherent stories. A third way to understand superposition focuses less on splitting worlds and more on our own limitations as observers. Here, the quantum system holds all possibilities until we ask a question precise enough to extract one answer. Collapse is not a physical event, it is a moment of clarification, like focusing a camera lens on a single detail in a bustling scene. Everything else remains, just out of reach of our current perception. It is as if the universe always possessed a definite path, but we could not see it until we illuminated it with the right kind of attention. Each of these interpretations, many worlds, coherent branches, and observer-dependent clarity offers a glimpse into the shimmering ambiguity beneath reality's surface. None is proven, yet they all share a common thread: possibility is fundamental. Choices, outcomes, events are not rigidly pre-written, they emerge from a spaciousness that allows many stories to coexist, even if only one becomes visible to us at any given moment. This truth carries a gentle emotional resonance. The choices you make shape your life, but the ones you don't make are not meaningless. They echo through the fabric of your being, influencing the direction you take even when they remain unmanifest. Think of a raindrop formed from fog. It carries within it the diffuse possibilities of the mist that preceded it, solidifying into a single moment while never losing the memory of its origin. In moments of regret, it is tempting to imagine that a different choice would have produced a better version of yourself. Quantum thinking offers a softer perspective. The paths you didn't take are not lost, they reside in the quiet background of who you are, much like unplayed notes that give a melody its depth and meaning. When you look toward the future, you stand again in superposition, surrounded by a fog of many possibilities. Each one lives until you decide, each holding its own quiet promise. There is no need to rush or force a choice prematurely. The fog will clear when the time is right, revealing the next step with the same softness that guides particles into place. As this insight settles into the quiet part of your mind, it invites you to explore something even more personal, the way identity itself emerges from patterns, interactions, and probabilities. Rather than viewing yourself as a solid object, imagine yourself as a song that rewrites itself each time you listen. Sit quietly for a moment, let the room around you soften, allow your thoughts to drift into a gentle rhythm. You may begin to sense a subtle truth about yourself, not a proclamation that shouts from the heights, but a quiet unfolding like a slowly blooming flower. Your memories, emotions, habits, hopes do not sit in neat compartments. They blend, shift, and flow into one another. In that softness, a realization appears you are less a fixed thing and more a living pattern. The quantum world provides a fitting mirror for this experience. At the smallest scales, particles are not tiny solid marbles, they are patterns of probability, shimmering tendencies to exist here or there, to spin one way or another, to adopt one configuration or another depending on the interactions that touch them. Their identities are not inherent, they emerge from relationships, from contact, from context. The universe does not hand them a script. It offers a field of possibility, and they become real only when they meet the world around them. Human identity works in the same way. It is not a static core buried deep within consciousness, but an ever-unfolding pattern that arises from the interplay of biology, experience, relationships, memories revisited, and even the fleeting thoughts that drift across your awareness like soft currents of wind. Who you are is not etched in stone, it is woven in time. Imagine your consciousness as a hall filled with mirrors. Each memory reflects another, each emotion sends ripples through the reflections. Each interaction from childhood to this very moment tilts the mirrors, shifting what they show back to you. Adjust one mirror even slightly, and the whole hall transforms. That is how the quantum self behaves. It is not made of isolated pieces, but of relationships. Change the relationships, and the self reshapes. In physics, a particle's behavior is determined by how it interacts with other particles and fields. It does not carry a fixed identity that it presents to the universe. Likewise, you are defined not by an immutable essence, but by the dynamic web of connections you create each day. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every challenge you face, every quiet moment of reflection, each is a strand that weaves the fabric of your being. So when you feel uncertainty or doubt, remember that you stand amid a beautiful sea of possibilities. The paths you have not traveled are not failures, but the soft, unseen currents that have guided you to where you are now. They have added depth to your story, shaping the melody of your life, even without taking center stage. Embrace the knowledge that you are both the traveler and the ever-changing landscape, that your identity is a living pattern constantly refined by the world around you. Carry this awareness into each day. When a decision arises, honor the chorus of options humming beneath the surface, knowing that each one contributes to the rich tapestry of who you are becoming. Allow yourself the patience to let the fog of possibilities clear in its own time, trusting that the universe, like a gentle observer, will highlight the path that resonates most deeply with the pattern of your heart. And as you move forward, feel the quiet confidence that every unchosen rote, every whispered what if, remains a part of you, a subtle yet powerful influence that enriches the masterpiece of your life. Let that realization lift you, inspire you, and remind you that you are perpetually co-creating a reality as expansive, as beautiful, and as full of promise as the universe itself. You don't have to hurry. You don't have to decide before the fog has had a chance to lift. Trust that the mist will part when it's ready, revealing the next step with a gentle softness. like a quiet whisper that nudges particles into their proper places. As that insight settles into the still part of your mind, it invites you to turn inward, to explore the most personal part of who you array your identity. Imagine identity not as a solid, immutable object, but as a song that rewrites itself each time you listen. If you sit for a moment, allowing the room around you to soften, letting your thoughts fall into a gentle rhythm, you may begin to sense a quiet truth about yourself. It does not announce itself with fanfare, it unfurls like a flower blooming slowly in the morning light. The edges of who you are start to blur, and your memories, emotions, habits, hopes flow together, blending into one another. In that softness, a realization appears you are less a fixed thing and more a living pattern. The quantum world offers a surprisingly fitting mirror for this experience. At the tiniest scales, particles are not tiny marbles, they are patterns of probability, shimmering possibilities that may exist here or there, spin this way or that, settle into one configuration or another, depending on the interactions that touch them. Their identities are not pre-written, they emerge from relationships, from contact, from context. The universe doesn't hand them a script, it offers a field of possibilities, and they become real only when they meet the world around them. In the same way, human identity is not a static core hidden deep inside consciousness. It is an ever-unfolding pattern that arises from the dance between your biology, your experiences, the people who shape your days, the memories you revisit, and even the thoughts that drift across your awareness like soft currents of wind. Who you are is not etched in stone, it is woven in time. To feel this more intimately, picture your consciousness as a hall of mirrors. Every memory reflects another, every emotion sends ripples through the reflections, and each interaction from childhood moments to the breath you're taking right now tilts the mirrors, shifting what they show back to you. Change just one mirror, even slightly, and the whole hall transforms. That is how the quantum self behaves. It is not made of isolated pieces, but of relationships. Alter the relationships and the self reshapes. In physics, a particle's behavior is determined by how it interacts with other particles and fields. It carries no fixed identity that it presents to the universe. Instead, it responds to what touches it, its spin, its momentum, its positional of which appear only when something else asks the question. Without interaction, its nature remains open, fluid, unnamed. Humans are similar. Ask someone who they are at work, and you'll receive one answer. Ask who they are alone at night, and you'll hear another. Ask who they are when they love, when they fear, when they dream, when they lose something precious, and each answer emerges from a different interaction. This isn't inconsistency, it's responsiveness. It's relational. Our identity is not a statue, it is a song that changes each time it is played. Think of a melody you return to throughout life. As a child, it might fill you with excitement. Years later, it awakens nostalgia or longing. The notes themselves haven't changed, but you have. You become part of the music. Likewise, your memories are not fixed recordings. They shift with context, adapt to your current emotions, and take on new shades every time you reinterpret them. Just as a particle's state forms through measurement, your memories shape themselves through recollection. Every time you revisit a memory, it evolves. This is not a limitation, it is a quiet gift. It means your past is not a rigid chain, holding you in place. It is a soft landscape that reshapes as you grow, making room for healing, understanding, and new meaning. Even the brain reflects this quantum softness. Neural networks fire not as strict mechanical sequences, but as fluid waves of activation patterns that strengthen, dissolve, reconnect, and reshape themselves depending on what you experience. Though the brain does not operate in literal quantum superposition at the level of neurons, its behavior echoes the same spirit. Identity is not a fixed point, it is a dance of probabilities, rhythms, and relational states. You are an emergent pattern, like ripples formed by multiple raindrops landing in the same pond. No single raindrop defines the ripple, it is the combination of timing, spacing, strength, background currents, wind on the surface, even the shape of the pond that matters. Your life mirrors this emergence. A single conversation can shift the trajectory of a year. A quiet realization can reshape a belief. A moment of kindness from a stranger can soften a hard memory. A painful experience can deepen your capacity for understanding. Just as particles settle into states based on the questions posed to them, we settle into patterns based on the experiences that touch us. This means who you are is not a trapped essence, nor a rigid structure you must cling to. You are a pattern that continually reorganizes itself, a moment in motion, a configuration of possibilities that settles long enough to feel familiar before gently shifting again. There is comfort in this. It means you are not required to be a fixed version of yourself. You are allowed to change as the world changes around you, to respond to new experiences, to become softer or stronger, more open or more thoughtful, without needing to justify the change. You are a ripple in a vast field of relationships, not a stone etched with unchanging words. And just as quantum patterns become clearer when observed with gentleness rather than force, we reveal our truth when we hold ourselves with kindness. If you try too hard to define yourself, to pin down every detail, to force a strict identity, you may freeze the pattern, limiting who you can become. But if you allow the softness of curiosity, the space to breathe, the freedom to shift, your identity unfolds like a melody finding its next note. In that gentle unfolding lies a deeper idea. Uniqueness itself arises from the impossibility of perfect copying. No pattern, in physics nor in life, can ever be replicated exactly. Within that impossibility lies one of the universe's most tender gifts. Imagine holding a snowflake on your fingertip. Its shape is precise yet impossible to duplicate. Its pattern emerges from countless tiny interactions, air currents, temperature shifts, the faintest trembles of moisture in the air. Even if you stood beside a storm and tried to catch two identical flakes, you would never succeed. The universe, it seems, does not repeat itself perfectly. It favors uniqueness. Small variations, subtle differences, stories told only once. In the quantum world, this preference becomes a principle known as the no-cloning theorem. No unknown quantum state can be copied precisely. Rather than drowning you in equations, think of it as a gentle ruler at the smallest corners of reality. No pattern can be replicated without changing the pattern itself. Information at its most fundamental level is singular. Touch it, and it shifts. Try to duplicate it, and it becomes something new. This is not a failure of technology or imagination. It is the universe's way of protecting individuality. Quantum patterns cannot be photocopied. Their subtleties cannot be pressed onto a second sheet of reality without being altered. Much the same is true for emotions, moments, and memories. Each quantum state exists once, in one place, in one shape before dissolving or evolving. Think of a moment that mattered deeply, a conversation, a realization, a sunset that arrived at just the right time. You could try to recreate it, visit the same place, say the same words, stand under the same sky, but the moment would be different, perhaps softer, perhaps heavier, flavored by who you have become since then. The memory of that moment rests gently in your mind, but the moment itself cannot return unchanged. That impossibility is not a flaw, it is what gives the moment its meaning. In quantum physics, the impossibility of perfect copying arises because observing or interacting with a state inevitably alters it. You cannot know every delicate detail without influencing the shape of the pattern you're trying to preserve. The same quiet truth holds in everyday life. Understanding something changes it. Understanding someone changes your relationship with them. Understanding yourself alters the way you move through the world. Knowledge doesn't preserve, it transforms. So does experience. A memory revisited will not feel identical to the first time it formed. The act of remembering reshapes it, folding new layers into its meaning. A friendship revisited years later carries the echo of who you were and the imprint of who you've become. Even your laughter changes with time's light, perhaps now deeper, carrying the resonance of everything you've survived. This mirrors the quantum behavior of particles that cannot return to a previous state without carrying traces of the journey they have taken. They evolve. They remember, not through conscious thought, but through the shape they acquire as they move through interactions. You are no different. The person you were at 10, at 15, at 20 lives inside you only as echoes, softened by everything that has touched you since. There is a gentle part of this rule that often goes unnoticed. The impossibility of copying makes connection meaningful. Because no moment can repeat, each one becomes precious. Because no conversation can be duplicated, each one becomes alive. Because no person can be reproduced exactly, not even a past version of yourself. Each identity becomes irreplaceable. Uniqueness is not a rare accident, it is the default state of the universe. Even the simplest quantum entities carry a signature that cannot be cloned. A single particle, prepared in a state you don't fully know, is like a poem written in a language you can read only partially. You may sense its rhythm, hear its tone, but you cannot rewrite it word for word without altering it. This is how nature embeds individuality into the very architecture of reality. When we look at consciousness through this lens, something beautiful emerges. Consciousness is not a fixed point of awareness trapped in your mind, it is a process, a gentle unfolding of perception, memory, attention, and possibility. It draws from the past, but never repeats it exactly. It encounters the present, but never sees it the same way twice. It shapes the future, but never in precisely predictable steps. Like a ripple on water, it is defined not by permanence but by movement. Embrace this fluidity. Allow yourself to move with the rhythm of possibility instead of forcing a static identity. Recognize that each interaction, each thought, each breath contributes a new thread to the tapestry of who you are. When you feel pressured to have everything figured out, remember that the fog will clear in its own time, revealing the next step with the same softness that guides particles into place. Trust that there is no rush to become a finished version of yourself. You are a song that evolves with each listening, a mirror hall that shifts with every glance, a ripple that expands outward while staying uniquely yours. So the next time you stand at a crossroads, give yourself permission to pause. Let the room soften, let your thoughts settle into a gentle rhythm, and listen for that quiet bloom within. Feel the edges of your identity blur and blend, and recognize that this blending is not a loss, but a gaining of depth, of resonance, of authenticity that can only arise when we stop trying to lock ourselves into a single shape. Let the quantum metaphor remind you that you are both the observer and the observed, that your very act of noticing the world shapes the world you experience. With each compassionate glance you give yourself, you allow the pattern of you to become clearer, brighter, more expansive. In this ever-shifting dance, you find freedom. Freedom to be softer when you need tenderness, stronger when you need resolve, more open when curiosity calls, more reflective when wisdom whispers. Freedom to let the uniqueness of each moment, each interaction, each breath color your story in ways no duplicate could ever capture. And as you move forward, carry with you the gentle assurance that you are a remarkable, unrepeatable paterna melody that the universe itself could never copy. And that is precisely why your song matters. Let that knowledge light your path, and let the softness of the quantum world guide you toward a life lived fully, fluidly, and authentically. Imagine the very idea of impossibility not as a flaw, but as the heartbeat of meaning itself. In the delicate dance of quantum physics, the impossibility of perfect copying arises, because every act of observation or interaction inevitably reshapes the very state we seek to preserve. You cannot capture every intricate detail without subtly influencing the pattern you wish to hold. This quiet truth, whispered through the language of particles, mirrors the rhythm of our everyday lives. When we truly understand something, we change it. When we understand another person, the relationship blossoms into something new. When we understand ourselves, the way we move through the world shifts in gentle, undeniable ways. Knowledge does not simply keep things the same, it transforms them, and experience follows the same graceful arc. Think of a memory revisited. It never feels exactly as it did the first time it formed. The act of remembering folds fresh layers into its meaning, tinting it with the colors of now. A friendship that reappears years later carries the echo of who you once were and the imprint of who you have become. Even your laughter, once light and airy, may deepen over time, resonating with everything you have endured and celebrated. This mirrors how particles, once set in motion, cannot return to a previous state without bearing the subtle traces of the journey they have taken. They evolve. They remember not through conscious thought, but through the shape they acquire as they interact with the world around them. You, too, are a living echo of every version of yourself, your 10-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 20-year-old self still present inside you, softened and enriched by every experience that has touched you since. There is a gentle part of this rule that often slips past our notice. The impossibility of copying is precisely what makes each connection precious. No moment can repeat itself, so each one becomes a jewel to hold. No conversation can be duplicated, so every word becomes alive with urgency. No person can ever be reproduced exactly, not even a past version of yourself. Each identity, each presence, becomes irreplaceable. Uniqueness is not a rare accident, it is the default state of the universe. Even the simplest quantum entity carries a signature that cannot be cloned. A single particle, prepared in a state you cannot fully know, is like a poem written in a language you can read only partially. You may sense its rhythm, feel its tone, but you cannot rewrite it word for word without altering its essence. This is how nature weaves individuality into the very architecture of reality. When we look at consciousness through this lens, something beautiful blossoms. Consciousness is not a fixed point of awareness trapped inside your mind. It is a gentle unfolding of perception, memory, attention, and possibility. It draws from the past, but never repeats it exactly. It meets the present, but never sees it the same way twice. It shapes the future, but never in precisely predictable steps. Like a ripple on water, it is defined not by permanence but by movement. If you imagine your awareness as a playwright softly shaping reality with the questions you ask, the meanings you assign, the things you choose to notice, then your uniqueness becomes inseparable from the story you create. The limits the universe imposes, its inability to copy perfectly, its refusal to let us know everything at once, its resistance to freezing time or predicting every outcome, turn into gentle guides rather than harsh constraints. These limits teach us that we do not need to be infinite to be meaningful. They show us that imperfection is not a shortcoming, but a signature, a reminder that moments matter because they cannot be repeated, that relationships matter because they cannot be duplicated, that you matter because no version of you, past, present, or possible, can be replaced by another. We often imagine perfection lies in total control, knowing everything, predicting everything, copying everything. Yet the quantum world offers a softer wisdom. Perfection lies in presence, in being unrepeatable, in being here, right now, shaped by everything that has touched you and everything that will follow. As this thought settles into stillness, let the final message take shape. Like a firefly's fragile glow in the darkness, you are not separate from the universe that watches you sleep. You are one of its waves folding inward, settling for the night. The uniqueness you carry is not a burden to prove, nor a weight to bear. It is the quiet way the universe expresses itself through you, a pattern that will never appear again in exactly the same form. And that need not. Embrace that truth. Feel the edges of your identity blur and blend, and recognize that this blending is not a loss, but a gaining, a deepening of resonance, a widening of authenticity that arises when we stop trying to freeze ourselves in a single moment and instead allow the ever-shifting dance of impossibility to guide us toward ever greater presence. In this space, you are enough, you are extraordinary, and every breath you take adds a new, irreplaceable note to the song of existence. Let that knowledge fill you with confidence, with joy, with the fierce belief that the very impossibility of perfect replication is the gift that makes your life, your love, your laughter, and every quiet, luminous instant utterly, magnificently meaningful.